The next show will start in 1 minute.
Videos are currently restricted.
When we first realized that our videos were being restricted, there were about 15 videos that were restricted, and that was a year and a half ago. And since then, not only has the issue not been resolved, there's actually been 20 more videos restricted, and currently it's closer to 40 videos that are being restricted.
On December 18th last year, Twitter permanently suspended my account and the account run by my organization, American Renaissance.
A campaign ad banned by Twitter. Representative Marsha Blackburn talking abortion and her pro-life views that Twitter deemed inflammatory.
Yesterday, Alex Jones became an unperson, straight out of the plot of George Orwell's 1984, where when someone broke the rules of the power structure, they would have all evidence of their previous existence completely deleted. Which is what happened yesterday when YouTube, Facebook, and iTunes completely wiped all the videos, posts, and podcasts from Alex Jones and InfoWars. And regardless what you think of him or InfoWars content, this is the digital equivalent of book burning and sets a horrifying precedent for mass censorship by the big tech companies.
Streaming live from the Paul and Catherine Ranke Memorial Studio, this is TV Free Baltimore. Support for TV Free Baltimore comes from viewers like you. Become a TV Free Baltimore member by visiting patreon.com/TVFreeBaltimore.
As a public service, TV Free Baltimore provides a digital soapbox for those the mainstream media ignores. The opinions expressed in this live stream are not necessarily those of the owners, management, or underwriters of TV Free Baltimore. Furthermore, TV Free Baltimore streams hyper-local content focusing on politics and entertainment in the Baltimore viewing area. Vino's Liquors and Bar. When you're looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more Saturday night, a little bit more downtown. Vino's Liquors and Bar, located at 3811 Old North Point Road in Dundalk, Maryland.
I wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day.
This is Strider from the Guardian Angels and Beyond the Streets. And I'm here with our missing person partner, Gaitan Borders. How are you, Gaitan?
I'm great. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. Strider, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Couldn't be better. I had a fabulous time this weekend celebrating the 12th anniversary of the Baltimore Guardian Angels. Thank you for having me.
I tell you what, you kind of enhanced our whole program. So it was really, really, I mean, I cannot thank you enough for coming up. Now, for everybody, Gaitan and the Guardian Angels have been partnerships when it comes to missing persons for years now. And many years. And we're actually looking for a way to kind of build on what we've had in the past and make it that much better in the future. We want to increase our efficiency in getting awareness out for missing persons. We want to make sure that we can get our awareness out when we talk about preventing of missing persons. And so what you see here is basically a beginning and a jumpstart of Beyond the Streets, Guardian Angels, Peas in Their Pod show when it comes to missing persons. Hopefully we'll be able to do this in a snap of a finger. We'll get the information out there. We'll keep the public updated. And we'll also let you know what it is we're working on, where we're going to be in case we do haunt campaigns, that kind of stuff, and basically how to support what it is we've got going on.
Absolutely. I mean, the key, right, Strider, is just community involvement and awareness. So this is just a tie-in to get everybody to know what's going on. And also, if people don't know what's going on, they don't even know how they can begin to help. So this is that dialogue that we want to start. And I am so happy to be able to do this with you alongside with the Guardian Angels, Peas in Their Pods, as you said, and the Baltimore Guardian Angels have been riding together for a very long time. And it's a wonderful partnership, and this is just the beginning of many things.
It really is. So I'm kind of excited. So today is our here. Let's take a look outside and see what we got here. So we're putting things together. So we will let you know. But when you think about the severity of the missing persons, think about the fact that 2,300 people, more than 2,300 people go missing every single day. And the sad thing about it is, I want you to ask yourself right now as you listen to this video, how many of you heard about today? 2,300 every single day. And how many do you know of? How many posters have you seen? How many news clips or awareness has brought to your mind? And hey, we've got a missing person problem. And with human trafficking, that number's got to be higher than it was. Don't you think, Gaitan?
It absolutely has to be. And the thing is, I mean, when you think about the volume, Strider, of all the people that go missing, most people are hard pressed to name one person, even in their community or just in general, that is missing currently. And so that's a dialogue that we need to change, because without awareness, nothing's going to be solved. Without awareness, missing people cannot be found. So it is a major, major problem. And the statistics are so staggering that it's just not okay to just be okay with not doing anything. Because what people don't understand, as you and I both know, is that it really could happen to anybody, any one of us. That's how drastic the statistics are. And so that's why I'm so eager to get these types of shows out there so people can understand and see the day-to-day of what it looks like when it comes to this epidemic, because it absolutely is epidemic, and nobody should be fooled to think that it's not.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that, of course, doing the work that we do, we've been able to work with the families and the friends and the loved ones of the missing. And no matter how many years their loved one has been missing, that family or that social circle never gets closure. It's a hole that you just can't fill. And to all of us out there who see a missing person photo on the wall or a flyer, and we'll start thinking about this, and then we go home and we forget all about it, and we really don't give it another thought until it's brought to our attention again. But the families and friends of that person, they're always on edge. They're waiting for the phone to ring with somebody saying they found him. They're waiting for that person to come back in through the door. They're waiting for somebody to tell him, okay, here's the facts. This is what happened, good or bad. But there's no closure because you just never know. And these families, in time, become pretty much isolated by their friends and family and coworkers because, your missing loved one could have been yesterday, and it could be a year later, and you're still beating the same drum of, hey, I'm going through this. That's a hard thing to go through.
Absolutely. Years ago, Strider, like about 10 years ago, first starting out on this journey, I remember interviewing or speaking with a family of a missing child. And I said, how were you able to find closure? Just innocently, that's what I asked. I'm thinking, that there's somehow closure. That was me 10 years ago. And if I could literally just eat those words back, because they were very kind to me and they were patient with me and said, how can you possibly ever find closure? No matter what the circumstance, the findings, the ending is, there's no closure. It's still a wound that's going to be there forever. And I get it now. I didn't get it back then. I get it now. There is no true closure. You just learn how to live with the information that you have or that you don't have. But there's never closure. And I get it now. And I hate the fact that I posed that question years ago. I hate it.
We didn't think about it. We didn't know years ago. We got thrown into the missing persons arena because of a missing person request for help. So we didn't know. We weren't experts. This is not something we went to school for or we decided we were going to do for a living. This is something that we got pulled into. And so we pretty much learned as we went. So in those 10 years, you think about where we were then and where we are now when it comes to what it is we know and what we can do. Now, if you remember, when we did the missing persons seminar in North Carolina, there was a lady that attended whose son had been missing for 40 years. Do you remember that woman?
I do.
And I remember back then, and I think the only crazy thing I said to her was, that if your son's been missing for 40 years, we're looking for a grown adult man who doesn't know you exist. Do you remember that?
I do, Strider. And it's crazy because, we're advocates. That doesn't mean that we know it all. It just means that this is something that we feel charged to do, something that's, been put on our hearts to do. But, sometimes we misstep and we don't always say the right things, and it's a learning experience, and that's going to continue to happen. But I know if you're like me, there's certain things you said you probably want to take back, swallow back. But until you know better, you can't do better. And so I've learned along the way, there is no closure. It's just a new normal.
And you're exact. There is no closure. One thing, and if you think about it, like I said, that's not really a question that I think I would take back because realistically, it's been 40 years. But one of the things that kind of bothered me throughout this whole thing is I've learned from the start to where we are right now to kind of get a feel of what the family and friends are feeling, because that in turn kind of helps me when it comes to expectations. Granted, 2,300 people go missing a day. No matter how many requests you and I get, chances are that we're not going to find them. And I remember talking to a couple family members, and I've asked them, well, what do you think? What do you think happened? What do you think their current status is? And I've had at least 3 family members say, well, we know they're dead. We know they're gone. And we just want to know why, and we want to know where, and we want to know what. And it's weird to say, but it's one of those things where you have to know what their expectations are. I mean, it still hurts. It still hurts, but to hear someone say, I know they're gone. I just need to find out what happened to them now. Because either way, that wound is still open because that information is there. They can't rest in peace. The family can't be in peace. It's a hard pill to swallow.
It is, and I guess it's just understanding their stance, because there are families, as both of us work with, that are more so along the lines of, I know they're out there, whether it's been 40 years, 50 years, 3 years, I know they're out there and we want to find them. And then there are the families that, maybe they've only been missing for 6 months and they say, I know they're gone. I just need to find them, their body. So it's constant, like towing the ground as to, what the family is feeling and being sensitive to that as well. No matter what we might feel in our hearts or what our knowledge base and our experience has demonstrated, there is always hope. There's been a lot of people that have been missing, abducted as young children that were found decades later. So there's always that hope, but for me, I feel like I always want to be sensitive to the direction that the family is going in terms of their heart. As a mom myself, I know that heart connection is something that you can't always explain, but so for a mom that's out there, dad that's out there that has a missing kid, and they feel in their heart that their child is out there, I want to help support that hope and not dim it in any way until the facts are found. Does that make sense?
It makes very good sense. And like I said, we look as if it was yesterday, and we look with the intentions to find.
Absolutely.
And that pretty much to me is one of the best things that we can do. One of the things that we're going to start working on in the past for all you guys that are watching this video is that we're trying to figure out a way to work with the law enforcement agencies so that we can do what we can to get these advocacy groups like the Guardian Angels, NPs, to use our resources, because realistically, I don't think a lot of people know there aren't a bunch of missing person law enforcement agencies sitting on the side waiting for missing persons. Some departments only have maybe less than anywhere from 6 to 2 detectives that go out. And you think about all the other stuff that they have to do when it comes to looking for missing persons and or homicide victims.
Right.
So it's a big deal. But you think about all the missing person advocacy groups that have popped up since you and I started doing this. I mean, they're everywhere. They suffer in silence, but they are definitely out there. And it's easier to get I guess, a search or awareness program or a profile done through the private sector than it is through law enforcement. They don't have the time, and a lot of times they don't have the resources to do so.
True. And like you said, Strider, I mean, there are so many groups, advocacy groups, nonprofits, whatever it might be, whatever entities that are working independently to help the families and help this mission. But we're only stronger if we work together, and I think like one of the takeaways that I got from attending the 12th anniversary of the Baltimore Guardian Angels, is that there are so many groups out there, and it's so empowering to be in the midst of all these groups. But at the end of the day, we're all working for the greater good or the greater cause. And so linking resources together, working together only benefits the community as a whole and the families, the children, the adults that go missing. If we pull together, there's only benefit in it. Why not? Why work isolated when we can work together?
And I've always said that partnerships and relationships is the best way to basically complete whatever goal you got going on. So, for all of you out there back home watching this, we're looking for resources. We're looking for training and education, not for just us to go out into the public and teach, but for people who invite us in and say, hey, this is what we've done. This may work for you. This is what we'd like to do. And we want to be able to put together our own missing persons group that we can call up and get those resources, because this is happening every day, all the time. You're in Atlanta, I'm in Baltimore, but of course I'm sitting in New York as we film this. But the good thing about it, and we've proven it in the past, is that wherever someone goes missing, our network and our social circle can make it seem as if we were sitting right next to them. It's a big deal, and it happens like that.
A very big deal, a very big deal. And you, the Baltimore Guardian Angels MPs, go to show how teamwork definitely makes the dream work, because we're able to work together. We're able to reach people in various states and communities together. So imagine if it was even a wider network. And it's not about the individual organizations, it's about the families and the people that we can help. And so why not, right?
No, I agree. And like I said, this is a team-based thing, and it's going to take all of us. And we have to do what we can do to raise awareness for the missing person thing, because a lot of people say, well, you don't hear a lot about that. You may not. We do, We hear a lot. We hear it all the time. You know, so yeah, we want to build that network. If you have a missing loved one, whether it's a cold case or whether it's recent, if you have 3 or 4 friends that you guys go out and you go look for your missing loved one, contact us. We'll see what we can do to network people to get together, and we'll put together the policies and the procedures to make it happen. But like Guy Todd said, the biggest thing is to get the awareness out there and do what we can so that your loved one is not forgotten. We can't give up.
Right, absolutely. And I want to give a big shout out to the families of the missing that have been missing for a long time, what are considered cold cases, because I think people tend to forget about those families, and their hurt is no less painful than the families where they're missing went or vanished a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. You know, who can say what hurts more? You know, so we can't forget about those families where their loved one has been gone and not seen for decades, because they have been sitting there in pain. And so I just want to say to you guys that are in that boat that we care about you and we haven't forgotten about you or your loved one. And I think that's really important, because they are not really focused on in the media or in just popular dialogue.
No, and I agree. Now, for Peas, why don't you tell a little bit about your organization and what it is you guys do?
Sure, Strider. So Peas in Their Pods has been in existence for almost 12 years now, and our mission and our statement is to help those that have limited voice when it comes to missing children. What we found years ago when we first started, and continue to find, is that there is a disparity when it comes to the attention that missing children of color receive in the media and just within the community. Many people can name lots of people that have gone missing, but very few people can name the names of missing children of color that have gone missing, that are currently missing. In part, it's because they don't receive adequate media coverage. There's been research shown to show that children of color receive the least amount of media coverage, despite the fact that they make a very sizable percentage of those that go missing. Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing, and about 40% of those kids are of color. You wouldn't know it. So that's why Peas
40%.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when we first started out, Strider, the percentage was 33%.
Really?
That was in 2007. So in the years that have passed, that percentage has gone up, not down. And to me, that's a sign that our work is definitely still needed. Not to say that all children aren't important. I mean, clearly, all children are important.
So before we get the phone calls, you're right. We're looking for all children everywhere, and adults. And adults. I mean, if you're missing, we're gonna do what we can to spread the awareness to try to find you.
Yes, please hear that.
Yeah.
Please hear that.
No matter who you are, all the people, we are going to look. We are going to try to find you. And
absolutely.
You know, a lot of people think that there is a difference once it comes to the demographics of missing persons as well. Like you said, the children are missing that are missing of color and minorities don't get the airtime attention that the other kids get, and we have to raise awareness for that as well. And of course, you know, the good thing about it is we're the ones that's able to go out there and give the information out to the public. So that's, I guess that says something. We just have to get on it and make this a big deal. And there's so many groups out there that are going through the same thing as us. And as far as coming to look for them, because realistically, you know, when someone goes missing, the guardian angels do not get involved unless law enforcement or the family or friends of the missing contact us. And even then, we do our own little bit of research before we get involved.
Here. Absolutely.
And 2,300 people go missing every day, and we do get calls for them, but we don't get nowhere near 2,300 calls a day. So what else is happening? How, you know, where are these people, and where is the outcry? I wish I knew by state how many. It's just a mess. You can't. Honestly, we don't do what we got to do, or law enforcement, or even federally, they don't put out the proper information on missing persons. Where is it? It's on a website somewhere that 99.9% of the country won't go to unless they had a missing person.
And that's the thing too. You know, I think it becomes real when it becomes real to us personally. But I think if people understood how staggering the statistics are, maybe they would understand how close they could possibly be to this type of tragedy. Because yeah, there are websites out there like Peas. I mean, you can go to your National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, of course. You can go to whatever particular state website. But what we find is most people don't go there. I mean, it takes an act of engagement on our own personal selves to be willing to understand and see what's going on within our own small communities. And I think if people really logged on at least one time to see how many people and children, adults and children, are missing within their own little geographic part of the world,
I was just going to say the same thing.
Mind blown.
I was going to say the same thing. Go on and punch up missing persons in your county and or your state and look at those. And then more importantly, look at the dates they went missing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is amazing. You know,
it never stops to floor me, even doing this for all this time and going on. And of course, this is what we do. So I look at this daily, multiple times a day, and to see the number of people just within my small town that are missing every day, like that number changes every day. It definitely changes your worldview. And so that's one of my goals, Strider, is to encourage people to really be active, proactive, because this is also preventative. You need to see what's going on in your own community to know how to react and behave in your community. You might think you're safe and everything's fine, but then what you might find is that there's a trend in your area. And once you know that, you'll behave differently and protect your children differently. You know?
I do know. I do know. I'm sitting here thinking about, you know, as important as it is to find missing persons or look for them or get the awareness out for them. One of the things that I'd like to focus on this year is the prevention of missing persons. And that also comes along with safety awareness. We don't want to increase the numbers. And that means, you know, I can say, you know, we like to teach the parents and the caregivers and the teachers and all these people how to look out for their little loved ones when they're out in the store or in the mall or in a crowded area. Kids disappeared right in front of your eyes. And it's an issue. So parents, teachers, everybody needs to know, okay, what do I do? How can I keep these kids a little safer? There's no guarantee, but if your awareness is risen, then all of a sudden you've automatically reduced the number of people that are going to go missing. And as far as the adults out there, there's so much stuff that we don't take into account when it comes to safety awareness and how we, especially adults, we don't think we're going to end up missing. We don't think we're going to walk away, but it happens. It happens every single day because you know what? We've trusted the familiar strange that we see every day as we're going by to get coffee and say hello. We've trusted public officials who stopped us and all the people that we've come across on the road that day. And you hear it all the time. Oh, the person went to work and she's always goes to work, and all of a sudden they found her car on the side road with her purse and her cell phone. So this is a really, really big deal. You encounter somebody you don't know, you keep that phone in your hand, you figure out what you got to do, but raise your awareness to what the possibilities are and what can happen. There are the people who are snatching people, who are trafficking, they're doing their homework every single day. They know exactly who to target and how to make that happen. You know, and obviously it's working. There's 2,300 people going missing every day. They're doing their homework.
They are. And so too are the people that are trafficking or the pedophiles. They know which kids are at what bus stop. They know which kids are walking to the bus stop alone. They know the time the bus gets there. They know all of that. Just like we get up every morning, our alarm clock rings, and we get up and go to work, they set their alarm and they go to work targeting. That's their job.
And if you're a parent out there, you're exactly right. That's their job. That is their job. And you got your kids playing the games online where they're meeting strangers and all this kind of stuff. And that's basically like a Craigslist for let's go get him. They know they're researching the social networks. If you got kids online, pay attention to what they're doing. Go through their stuff, see who they're talking to, and don't let them put their personal information out there because, you know, oh, I'm going to the mall today. I'm going to meet such and such at this spot. Now they know exactly who you are and where you're going to be.
So Strider, so now you know you're going to get that hate mail about, well, you know, our kids deserve privacy. We shouldn't look at their phones. We shouldn't track this. We shouldn't go in their rooms. They deserve privacy. What do you say about that, Strider?
Well, I think that realistically, I'll take the hit. And you and I had talked before, and I've always told you, you know, my little guys are 9 and 12. And if I can put a chip in them to know where they are 24 hours a day, I do it. This is what we do. We look for missing people. You know, we deal with the victims and the families, you know, so all these, well, you know, their kids, I don't want to invade their privacy. You know what? You're the adult here. Your job is to raise the kids. They don't have any privacy when they're juveniles. They just don't have it. You need to know where they go, who they're talking to, what they're doing online. That's your job.
So Strider, tell us about the Guardian Angels. What do you guys do?
You know what? I remember when I joined the Guardian Angels, you know, I looked it up, Gaitan, after our 12th year anniversary. And I've been a Guardian Angel more than 36 years. Okay, 36 years. And during that time, we used to do a lot of safety patrolling, you know, patrol the streets, patrol the trains, patrol this, a lot of patrolling. Now there's nothing that the Guardian Angel organization doesn't do. Everything from street patrols to animal abuse protection, to missing persons, to community block watch programs, to training and education. That list is way too long. You know, you guys are more than happy to go to the National Guardian Angel website, guardianangels.org, or the local site, baltimoreguardianangels.org. And there's so many things for it that we do. And I think that, you know, of course, the missing person passion is part of way up on the list for me because of what it does to my heartstrings. It keeps me up at night. But, absolutely. You know, we do it all, people. You don't have anything to do on a weekday, call me. We will hook you right up. And we're all over the world. So you can call me from Timbuktu. We'll get angels to you.
And that's the truth. That is the truth. The Guardian Angels, particularly the Baltimore Guardian Angels, are near and dear to my heart. I love you, Strider. I love the Angels. And I'm looking forward to this, this platform that we're bringing together.
Well, I'm looking forward too. And keep in mind, everybody, that we will be posting videos like this. We'll be posting updates when it comes to missing persons. We'll be talking about seminars and education, because if you have a school, you have a classroom, call us. We will find a way to get to you, and we can help educate the teachers and the adults and anybody that's looking to say, hey, how can I keep my kids safe? And this is a big deal. This is our way to empower and give back. And keep in mind, Gaitan is in Atlanta. She's always looking for people for peace. We are everywhere. We're always looking for people for the Guardian Angels. Even if you're able to just get online and do a bunch of research for us and help us network. You know, we're looking to build this, and we're looking to put together a great team so that when we get a 911 call or a call from a family, we have resources in that local state, in that area, in that community where we can say, okay, we got little Ray missing from this town. We want to have a network of people saying, hey, I'm coming. We'll help you do the search, or we'll help you spread flyers, or we'll help you just pass this information out so that everybody can get it. Let's bring these people home. It's time.
It's a movement. It's a movement, Strider, and we're about to do it. And I'm looking forward to it. And we need your help, guys. So we definitely want you to keep coming back and looking at these videos and contacting us.
And that's where we'll wrap it up here. I am Strider from the Guardian Angels. That is Gaitan, Peas in Their Pods. Welcome to Beyond the Streets, and we will be in touch. So we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaitan.
Thank you, Strider. Love you guys.
You too.
I wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day.
This is Sean Quinn. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Maryland governor, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore.
Why do so many fellow Democrats refuse to support Ben Jealous? Because Jealous is too extreme for Maryland.
Go ahead, call me a socialist.
Jealous would raise your taxes, and his radical, irresponsible proposals would destroy our economy. A nonpartisan analysis says his health care plan alone could cost an extra $2,800 from every man, woman, and child.
Go ahead, call me a socialist.
Maryland can't afford Ben Jealous as governor.
This is a little treatise on basic economics called The Modern Little Red Hen. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen who scratched about the barnyard until she uncovered some grains of wheat. She called her neighbors and said, "If we plant this wheat, we shall have bread to eat. Who will help me plant it?" "Not I," said the cow. "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the pig. "Not I," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. The wheat grew tall and ripened into golden grain. "Who will help me reap my wheat?" asked the little red hen. "Not I," said the duck. "Out of my classification," said the pig. "I'd lose my seniority," said the cow. "I'd lose my unemployment compensation," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen, and she did. At last it came time to bake the bread. "Who will help me bake bread?" asked the little red hen. "Oh, that'd be overtime for me," said the cow. "I'd lose my welfare benefits," said the duck. "I'm a dropout and never learned how," said the pig. "Well, if I'm to be the only helper, that's discrimination," said the goose. "Then I will," said the little red hen. She baked 5 loaves and held them up for her neighbors to see. They all wanted some, and in fact demanded a share. But the little red hen said, "No, I can eat the 5 loaves myself." "Excess profits," cried the cow. "Capitalist leech," screamed the duck. "I demand equal rights," yelled the goose. And the pig just grunted. And they painted unfair picket signs and marched round and round the little red hen, shouting obscenities. When the government agent came, he said to the little red hen, "You must not be greedy." "But I earned the bread," said the little red hen. "Exactly," said the agent. "That's the wonderful free enterprise system. Anyone in the barnyard can earn as much as he wants. But under our modern government regulations, the productive workers must divide their product with the idle." And they lived happily ever after, including the little red hen, who smiled and clucked, "I am grateful, I am grateful." But her neighbors wondered why she never again baked any more bread.
4 years ago, people were fleeing Maryland. 43 tax hikes, even taxing the rain. 100,000 jobs lost. So we elected Larry Hogan. $1.2 billion in tax, toll, and fee relief. Highest ever funding for schools. Healthiest bay in a generation. Maryland's back. When we needed a leader, Hogan was there. And when he needed us, we returned the favor. Larry Hogan, changing Maryland.
We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well. We also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well.
Baltimore Unbound is the manifesto used by the NAACP, ACLU, and the ABLE Foundation in their attempt to transform Baltimore County into the new Baltimore City. This book is racist, authoritarian, and will not fix the problems in Baltimore City, but will create new problems in Baltimore County. The author, David Rusk, argues all of Baltimore City's problems, real and imagined, are caused by a hyper-concentration of black poverty within the political boundaries of Baltimore City. His solution to the city's problem is to move poor blacks from the worst neighborhoods in the city to the best neighborhoods in the surrounding counties. If you are poor and white, or any other skin color for that matter, you need not apply for this program, which is blatantly racist. The first page of the book remarks legal action may be necessary to bring this program into reality. In other words, the courts would force this program onto those that don't want it and force county residents to pay for the program through higher property taxes, which is blatantly authoritarian. The blatant racism and authoritarianism should not come as a surprise after looking at the author's background. He's another Democrat calling for the redistribution of wealth via higher taxes and the equality of outcome via greater government intervention into our lives.
This is the map driving the largest poverty relocation program in the U.S. There really isn't any science to this. Whether an area is opportunity or not is defined primarily by its local public school district. Now, we all know that faced with no other choice, parents will move from neighborhoods with dangerous, persistently failing schools. At least parents with the financial resources to flee. This dynamic is unjust and unsustainable. But how does redistributing several thousand high-poverty families into already overcrowded districts like Towson change that dynamic? How does it help hundreds of thousands of people left behind in the orange, non-opportunity areas? A smart approach would focus on fixing what's actually broken, not empowering unaccountable central planners to re-engineer what works. So what if we flipped this map? What if we committed to a strategy of expanding opportunity in the orange areas, instead of trying to redistribute it from the green ones? What if we reverse the incentives that drive middle-class families from so many neighborhoods as soon as they have kids? What if we stopped pretending that big ed bureaucracies will ever find a solution, and started recognizing that their one-size-fits-all central planning is the problem? We could create more options for better schools targeted specifically to the non-opportunity neighborhoods that need them most. We could start fixing this systemic failure that sacrifices tens of thousands of disadvantaged kids at the altar of the status quo. But not as long as we send machine politicians like Steve Lafferty to represent us in Annapolis. He voted to prohibit the state from intervening to save these kids, and to continue this shameful status quo, even as he champions this ridiculous relocation program targeting his constituents. Because that's what the machine does. It doesn't seek justice or protect schools or help kids. It protects its own power. It defends a status quo that serves incumbent politicians fine while failing the people miserably. I'm Steve McIntyre, and I'm running for the House of Delegates to serve Towson residents, not special interests or partisan agendas, to trust in people over central planners, and to never stop seeking better ways to expand opportunity for all.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of TV Free Baltimore's Maryland Politics. And today, our guest is Sean Quinn, who is the Libertarian candidate for Governor of Maryland. Welcome, Sean.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a long weekend.
A long weekend for you because you've been campaigning in a way.
Well, I've been campaigning for over a year now, since before last November. But we finally got signs because we're in the primary now. So people wanted signs. So I started out Friday taking care of Calvert County. Then Saturday I worked up all the way up to Northeast. And today I went all the way out to Garrett County when you guys called and asked me to come. And I was like, okay, I'm heading back that way.
Well, good for you.
So here we are today.
It's good to have you with us. Now, the question, it's big in the media here lately, and we want to talk about, is media access for especially third-party candidates. And isn't that kind of a problem?
A little one?
You know, to say that, for example, let's start with mainstream media. They kind of tune you guys out, right?
Well, I hate to say this, but mainstream media is pretty much owned by the two-party agenda because there's a lot of money in commercials, and the two-party agenda has that money. I mean, I think the last Hogan reported he's got $18 million to run for governor. $18 million. Can you imagine that?
$18 million.
Yeah, I would be putting homeless people into homes
There you
and
go.
feeding people to have food. He's buying signs put every 5 miles on the street.
Okay.
But when you don't have $18 million, they can afford to look the other way because even if they're breaking the law by not giving you equal time, what are you going to do about it? And that's what they say. What are you going to do about it? So you have to wait till you get a media organization that wants to be fair. And this year, ABC 47 in Salisbury was the one that was been really fair.
Really?
They did interviews on all 4 candidates, and they gave every candidate 5 of their best minutes on the air.
Terrific.
So they did a really brilliant job, so I want to give them a hats off because it just doesn't happen that often. And the Baltimore Sun did a pretty good job for third parties last election cycle. They actually did 2 very good interviews on me when they normally don't even talk to third party candidates.
That's great.
So I don't want to say the media's just bad, but it's about money.
Yeah.
You know, they need to make money, and if they make the 2 parties mad, then they stop getting money from them. And they have a lot of money to spend.
And of course I understand there's a Maryland law that says, you can't be in part of like debates or something unless you have get a certain amount of the vote or something. I don't know.
I don't really know if that's a law.
Yeah.
They give me all kinds of excuses why they don't want me to debate. But basically I think it is Hogan is short on issues, so he doesn't want me standing up there making him look bad. And Jealous is short on knowing how government works, so he'll look bad. So even though Jealous did come out in public during the primary and he told me, I asked him straight out, will you debate me if you win? He said, yes, I will debate you, Sean. Now he won't even return my calls.
Oh.
So it's like, how do you trust somebody that can't even keep his word on something as simple as a debate?
As that.
So, and then Hogan, of course, if he doesn't see me in the same room, then he can say that I'm not legitimate.
Oh.
So.
But you're being, of course, kept out of the
Oh, yeah. I mean, last election, there was only 3 of us. There was Brown, Hogan, and me.
Right.
And they were like, well, there's not enough room on stage.
Oh, really?
And that's why I said, you got to be kidding me. You're telling me you have room for 2 podiums, but not a third one? I said, and then this election, it's like for the primaries, we had 10 Democrats.
Right.
And they were all on stage everywhere they went.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So we'll see what happens. The debates haven't started yet. They came up with 2 dates for debates so far, and nobody's contacted my campaign yet. And I've been reaching out to Ben Jealous, trying to get him. I've even been trying to goad him a little bit, say, hey, you gave your word. And I go to Hogan a little bit and say, what, are you scared of me? I mean, come on. If I'm a nut job, then the people will see it at the debate.
Right.
And that should be good for both of them. But they're both afraid that that's not what's going to come out because I do know issues and I know how to take care of people and I could do the job better than both of them.
I mean, I would say that, and I've said this before on the channel, is that the best voter is an informed voter, and we don't have an informed voters if all parties aren't represented, all points of view.
And another problem in Maryland, it seems like voters don't realize that we have a state election webpage. And that page, every time there's somebody put on the ballot or they file to run, they're listed. You can go to that page and look at every person running in your district, every state-run candidate, even the federal candidates will show up on that page. So you can't say, well, I didn't know who was running. If you don't know, it's because you're being lazy or you're not looking, because the information is there. You just have to take a couple minutes and look. And then once you know, you can spend your time researching those people in your district that you're going to vote for, instead of just walking up to a tent and saying, oh, do you have the sheet for me to tell me who to vote for? And if it's a Democrat, you get the Democratic sheet. If it's Republican, you get the Republican sheet. And the people just walk in there and vote R or D. That is not the way to have a good government, because if you don't know what these people stand for and what they're going to do, you're going to have all the problems we have now.
So it's not just an informed voter, it's also what you're talking about here, it's a lazy voter. That they don't, most people let other people make up their minds for them.
I don't want to say most, but let's say there are some out there that do that.
And like I said, it's almost like, oh, the last thing they see. That's
right, but we don't want to insult voters either.
Before you go into your, at your where you vote, your polling place, somebody gives you literature, then that might be the person you vote for.
And unfortunately, we still have the two-party agenda that wants voters not to be too informed, because the more informed they are, the less likely they are to vote for the two-party system. I mean, I can't tell you how many supporters of Hogan, they come up to me and say, I like Hogan. And I just ask them, why? and you get the stare.
they don't know.
They have no reason they like him. They just heard something and said, "Oh well, I like him. Everybody likes him."
That's it. Right?
Yeah.
People follow along.
Yep. And it's like, well, you know, if you like somebody, you're going to vote for them to be in the highest seat in the state. Don't you think you should have some solid reasons why you like them?
Right. That's true. Now, I mean, part of the same thing with the media questions, also we're talking about social media. You know, they won't allow you to put campaign ads on social media.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I just have to be creative how I do it.
Oh, really?
I mean, I have a campaign page on Facebook that's just strictly a campaign page, and then I have my personal page on there where any citizen can come talk to me. And that really drives the other guys crazy because I don't care who you are, what you have to say, I will listen. I may not agree with everything you say, and we might have some heated discussions, but I never block somebody because they disagree with me. And they don't get that from the other two parties. If you're not following in line with what they want you to say, they don't want that to show up on their page. They just want everybody to say, rah, rah, 4 more years.
Right.
Or, rah, rah, we're going to give teachers a 33% raise, even though that's $1 trillion that we don't have in the budget.
There you go.
So it's like, I try to be reasonable with what I do. But I do aim at everything I do is to try to make things better for people. Because that's what the job entails, making life better for people in Maryland.
Well, before we got on camera, I think you can reiterate it here because people are watching now and will be watching, is that you express it very well. It's not about personalities. It's not, it's an ego, it's me, I'm doing a job.
Right.
And do you want to give some thoughts about that?
Well, you know, sometimes people say that I'm kind of like aggressive. And I was like, well, I'm not really aggressive. I'm giving you the truth. Because it's not whether you like me as a person, it's can I do the job better than the other guys run it. Because in the end, if I do a good job, then your life should be better. And that's what the whole idea of having a governor is for, is to make sure that people living here can afford to live here, they're happy living here, and they stay here and continue to pay taxes here. That's what makes it a great place to live. But we have a state where the business taxes are so high that people just go across the line to Delaware and they don't pay those taxes.
Right.
And then we have a governor telling us, well, I opened Maryland for business. And it's like, show me what business came here. You know, you gave $3 million to hotel chains so they wouldn't leave. That came off the taxpayers' back. Now you're offering $5 million to Amazon. That's going to come off the taxpayers' back. Plus, their executives are not going to have to pay taxes for 5 years. Who's covering all that? Are you really doing the state any good? Because now, if I was a company, I'd be like, where's my handout? You want me to stay? Give me my $5 million. Or I'm leaving.
Right.
Why isn't he just lowering corporate taxes to match our neighboring states so that we look at least attractive enough to come across the border? That's what's going to bring business here, good business.
Right.
We depend on the federal government for everything in this state. If the federal government decided that they no longer wanted to have Maryland for their bases and they all closed shop and left, we'd have mass unemployment in Maryland, and we couldn't recover from it.
I would say the federal government, I think I understand, is the biggest employer in the state of Maryland.
They are probably, if you really looked at it, they are the employer of the state. Because if they, like I said, if they leave, there's not enough jobs here to keep Maryland afloat.
Yeah, because I don't know what happened, is maybe a small point, I won't stay on it long, is that this thing about we were trying to get Maryland to be, a place in Maryland to be the new headquarters for the FBI.
And another federal office.
Right.
But I mean, look how many bases we have here. Just where I live down in Calvert County, we have one of the largest naval bases down there for their Air Force.
Right.
And then you go up the road, you have Andrews.
Right.
You go a little further up, you have Fort Meade. It's like every county you go to is just loaded with bases.
Oh, sure.
NIS is here. They're over by Fort Meade, so we have NIS in the state.
Oh, yes.
You got
NSA,
Aberdeen.
you mean. Yeah, NSA.
Yeah. I can't even name them all. There's so many of them.
Of course.
So what happens
Fort Detrick in Frederick County.
Right. So what happens if DOD says, you know, we don't have to be in Maryland. You guys just aren't attractive to us anymore. They close their base and move. They don't care.
Right.
So now we're sitting here holding the bag because Hogan hasn't done anything to bring business to Maryland.
Right. So there you go. It's about the job and what the person who holds the office can do. It's not, I'm voting for Larry Hogan because he's a nice guy. Everybody loves Larry.
Yeah, it's even like these people that want to go off on the president. It's like, you know, that's fine if you want to go off the president because you personally don't like him. But as the governor, you really need to keep your lips closed because your job is to get federal dollars for the people in this state. If you burn that bridge, how do you get money in here to take care of programs that take care of people?
Yeah. You have to get along with, not trash the President of the United States no matter who they are.
And a good point is the immigrants that come over to the Eastern Shore to pick crabs.
Right.
They need a certain number of immigrants over there so they can pick the crabs and keep the cost down, and these people stay in business. Well, the president decided he was going to have a lottery, and at that point, our governor should have wrote a letter to the president saying, look, that's not enough people for what we need. Is there anything we can do to change that so that these guys don't go out of business? He waited till after the lottery was filled, and then he sent a letter because he knew he burned that bridge. He has no bridge with Mr. Trump now.
Right.
So it doesn't do him any good to write letters because we all know what Mr. Trump's going to say if you step on his toes too hard. He's going to say, okay, you had your turn, now it's my turn.
Exactly.
So, and that's why I say it's not a popularity contest.
Right.
It's about getting in there and doing what's right for the state and for the people. Right. And if you're a nice guy, well, that's a plus. If you're not a nice guy, as long as you're getting the job done and you're not sticking it to the people, that should be fine too.
Right. Because how long have you been with the Libertarian Party? Because I'm sure you were some other party before this, right?
Well, it's actually the Republican Party's fault that I'm a Libertarian.
Really? How is it? Let's hear that story.
Okay, well, I was born here, of course, but my dad was in the Navy, so we moved away. And when he retired, I was in Pennsylvania, and I joined the Navy. And, of course, the Navy sent me back to Maryland. So I spent some time here, and then I went and I finished my service, and I came back, and I was working in Newport News, Virginia. I was a deputy sheriff, and then I was a corrections officer. Well, my best friend's wife introduced me to my present wife. And if she would have left her job here to go to Virginia, she would have lost her retirement. And I was like, well, that's not right. I have my military retirement check, and I'm vested with the city here, so I don't lose anything by getting another job and moving to Maryland. So that's what I did. I started driving a truck, and I moved back to Maryland. Well, of course, moving to Maryland, now I'm interested, instead of Virginia politics, I was interested in my local politics in Maryland. And at the time, we were in an election cycle, and the Republicans had one candidate running for the House seat in my district. Nobody else was running. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is crazy. Literally, this guy can walk in the election office, vote for himself, and nobody else has to vote. He's in because he voted himself in the office.
There you go.
So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I don't really want to run for an office, but I don't think it's right that this guy is unopposed. So I'm going to call the Republicans, and I'm going to see how I can get on the ballot and run against him. Well, the Central Committee down there literally laughed at me and said, you realize he's the minority speaker of the House. I said, what does that got to do with anything? We're talking about an election, and people have a choice. Well, we're not going to run anybody against him. He's got the power. We want him back in office. And at the time, I didn't know jack about running for office. I really didn't. I was very ignorant, you know. I really didn't know that they couldn't keep me off the ballot. I could have got on the ballot and run against him as a Republican, and they couldn't have stopped me. But they had me convinced it wasn't going to happen. So, of course, now I'm really upset. You know, I'm stomping around my house, and my wife's looking at me. She goes, do you not realize they're not the only party in town? And it's like a little light bulb comes on, and you're sitting there, oh, yeah, I'm kind of being stupid right now, you know? Maybe I should do some research myself. And so I really am not in line with the Democratic platform with the progressives, because progressives are really looking for the government to take over everything. And I strongly believe in the Constitution. I did 20 years in the Navy to defend the Constitution, so I just couldn't swallow being a Democrat. And it was because it was progressives. I don't have a problem with liberals, because liberals are really just trying to do things for people. They don't really want the government in charge of everything, but they want the government to put lots of money into people's stuff. I can live with it and understand that, but I can't understand people that want the government in control of everything. So I started looking some more, and there was the Green Party. I looked at them, and they were pretty much just worried about the environment. You know, there really wasn't any other thing they were doing at the time. So then I looked at the Libertarian Party. And then I said, well, this is kind of unintrusive. They don't really want to be in government. They just want government to be smaller and leave us alone. I said, I could deal with that. So I called their chair up, and I talked to him on the phone for about an hour, and he invited me to a picnic. And next thing I know, he has me standing up there telling the people at the picnic why I wanted to run for the House. And all of a sudden, they're holding a vote. They're saying, well, you're nominated.
Wow,
and I'm like, what?
That was quick.
Yeah, it was a central. They had a central committee meeting after the picnic, which I didn't know anything about, and I thought I was just talking to the people there, and they were actually listening to what I had to say to see if they wanted to nominate me. So they nominated me to run. And if the Democrat hadn't come in the last second to run against O'Donnell, then I probably would have had a lot more votes. But he came at the last time hoping I would take O'Donnell's votes away. They were playing that split the vote game, you know. And I was like, whatever. So, but I really like Tony O'Donnell. We went to a lot of places. We were at forums and everything. If they tried to ignore me, Tony O'Donnell stood up and said, wait a second, Sean Quinn's running for this office too.
Right.
He had no qualms about standing up next to me and going toe-to-toe on any issue. So I had a lot of respect for Tony, and I still do, because he didn't have to do that. So after that election, which was 2010, I'm now I'm a firm libertarian.
There we
the
go.
next race, I was going to run as lieutenant governor for somebody that already run for governor. And that just didn't work out. And somehow fate just changed, and I ended up on the ticket as the governor with Lorenzo Gazzanaga as lieutenant governor, who I have a great deal of respect for. He's run for a lot of offices in the Baltimore area, and he's got so much experience. So he was actually just trying to talk me into running. I said, the only way I'm going to do it is if you run with me.
There you go.
Because I was like, what I lack in experience, you have. He said, well, I like to be behind the guys. You know, since this works fine for you, you'll be lieutenant governor.
There you go.
So he actually went home, talked to his wife, and he said he prayed on it. And he called me back. He said, I'm in. And so that's how we ran in 2014.
There you go. And of course, now you're running with Christina Smith.
Yeah, she's from Hagerstown. And she's pretty well known out there. She's a big advocate, especially for women's issues. And that was one reason why I interviewed her in the beginning, because she was so active in women's issues. And I said, you know, people aren't listening to women in this country. And it's like, you don't have to bend over backwards to everything they say, but you better be listening, because they're a force to be reckoned with. And if you're not reckoning with them, you're going to be sitting on the sideline saying, what happened? So I really did want to get a female to run with me so that we balanced the ticket. But I wasn't saying it had to be a woman. So we interviewed about 10 people. And in the end, we ended up with 2 women that the team liked. And one of them was Christina Smith, and she ended up winning our vote of confidence. So she's been running ever since, and she just tore it up from the day we asked her to do it. She gave out 500 business cards in like a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she was just shaking everybody's hand, telling them she was running, and she hasn't stopped. She's still running strong. She spent all day today at some event out in Western Maryland. I was supposed to visit with her, and I said, I can't. I got to get back to Baltimore. She was, I got this.
Good for her.
So, yeah, I'm really happy I picked her, and after we picked her, everybody that wasn't sure about her, they just said, wow, how did you know? I said, I didn't. I said, I just know that she's a very likable person, and she knows how to talk to people, and she's very apathetic to people's problems. So I think she's perfect to be the lieutenant governor.
Terrific. Now, a follow-up to that in a sense, even though you have danced around it already, what's wrong with the two-party system in this country?
I think the big problem is money. Because with only 2 parties, you don't even know if they're actually working against each other. It seems like all these corporations have their hands into both sides of the pot, and the only real difference is just trying to convince voters to vote for one or the other. But in the end, when they get elected, they're doing the same thing. You know, we had O'Malley that was attacking our Second Amendment rights. Now we have Hogan, who's supposed to be a Republican, doing the same thing. He just signed the red flag bill, which is so unconstitutional. They could take your guns now without any due process whatsoever. Somebody complains about you, said that they think you have violent tendencies, you have guns. And if he can convince the police, they come take your stuff. And then you have to go to court and prove that you're not the nut job this guy said you are. It's like, wow, really? This is what America's come to now? You're guilty automatically, and then you have to spend your hard-earned money to prove that you didn't do anything somebody just made an accusation about? It's bad.
Do you see then, as some people do, Democrats and Republicans are pretty much almost the same thing these days?
Pretty much. I mean, when people come up to me and say, well, Hogan's the lesser of 2 evil, I said, so what you're saying is if Mr. Jealous gets elected, then you're screwed tomorrow. If Mr. Hogan gets elected, you're screwed next month, and he'll kiss you first. That's the lesser of 2 evils. You know, it's like, is that really what you're looking to do? It's just a timing thing. It's not really that he's doing anything different. It's just a different time frame. I said, that is not the way you want to elect people into office.
Now, I want to ask you now, because I want to make sure we have enough time, is what do you see, or what are you running on as far as, what do you see as the most important issues for Maryland to address if you got to be elected?
Well, I know some people may not agree with this, but our schools are the #1 issue. They have to be, because we're still answering the same questions I answered in 2010. We haven't changed anything. We've dumped a bunch of money into schools, and nothing's changed. And now we have violence in schools on top of all the other problems. And people want to jump straight from classrooms with no doors to put cops in there. They don't even want to look at the building and say, what else can we do first? They just want to jump right to the extreme. And I'm like, wait, don't you think it would be wise to assess all our schools and find out what each school needs and just spend the money we need on each individual school instead of come up with a lump sum money and say everybody's going to have armed cops in school? It might not be necessary in every school.
Right.
So if you assess it first and determine it is, then as long as you did A, B, C, and D and then got to E, that's fine. But you can't just go from A to E and forget everything in the middle. That's not going to fix anything. Baltimore County schools, they get more funding from the state than any other county here. They're the worst schools. And when I go up there and I have to do forms and stuff, I walk around these schools, pipes are dripping. I mean, there's no doors on bathrooms. It's like, it's just a mess. And we're sending our kids there. Last year, they had no heat.
Right. Or no air conditioning.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you want these kids to learn, you have to at least give them an environment that they're susceptible to learning. It doesn't seem like that's what we're doing. The schools are simply chasing after the state and the federal government for money, and they'll do whatever the state and the federal government tells them to get that money. And the kids are just a pawn.
Do you have strategies to correct that?
Well, actually, I have a really big plan that...
Can you share a little of that?
Sure. I've been sharing it across the state, so I can share it here.
Okay.
I think that the number one way to fix schools is to change how we fund schools.
Okay.
Right now, schools are chasing the state and the federal government for money, so parents have no say, teachers have little say, and students have no say. So nothing changes because as long as they're getting the money, the school's happy. What if we took all the money the state gave to schools and figured out every kid that's going to school and split that money like a pie with each kid, and they get a student account fee? Now, parents have 100% school choice. It doesn't matter where you want to put your kid. It's your kid. This slice of pie belongs to your kid where your kid goes.
Right.
Well, now, if schools aren't doing a good job and the parents come in and say, look, we want this, this, and this, and the school says no, okay, we're taking our kids out of your school.
There you go.
So now that money left that school and went to a new school. Pretty soon, all the poor schools close. Whether they're public, private, whatever. Poor schools go away, and people say, wow, if I do a good job at this, I can make some money. So they start hiring the best teachers, doing the best stuff, do what parents want, and get students.
Oh, yeah, good.
Schools are now fixed.
Okay, good idea.
Excuse me a second.
Oh, no problem.
I've been talking all weekend, so.
You're doing all right. Now, give us another issue that's important to you.
The environment is another big issue with me.
Tell us
and
about that.
My biggest thing on the environment right now is the Conowingo Dam up in northern Maryland.
So what about it?
Well, when they built this dam, there was a big trench behind the dam. And what that was for is as the sediment and stuff comes from the other states north of us, the water swirls over that trench and all the sediment falls into the trench. And then the water's cleaner as it goes through the dam. Well, that trench is filled.
Oh, boy.
It is filled. There is nothing happening behind that dam. You know, the sediment's going right up against the dam. And if we have a storm, all that stuff's going to get stirred up and come through the dam. And all the money we spent on the bay, it's for naught because it's going to kill everything that's in the bay. So all this money we're spending on the lower bay and everything is just wasted money until we fix the dam.
And your solution is?
Well, we have to figure out some way to dredge that sediment without stirring it up and get the trench back in there that belongs in there.
Okay.
And I'm sure that we could somehow reuse that sediment to make fertilizers or some other stuff. I mean, if you do that, you're recycling, so you're putting it back somewhere else so it can grow stuff instead of being in there killing all the life in the water.
Right, sure.
So we spend far too much money on the bay to risk it like we're doing. And Larry Hogan could have fixed this problem in 2014 when I first brought it up because the contract was up for renewal for the power company. But instead of having that put in their new contract that they had to clean up the mess, he just extended their old contract so there was no negotiation. So they just got to keep on going and doing business.
Wow.
So now, after 3 years, he brought up, oh, we're going to do a study on the Conowingo Dam. Now it's going to cost you and me money.
There you go, for that study.
So now he's ready to do it. I was like, holy cow. I said, how far behind the curve are you going to be?
Now, another issue I think, and I'm not going to ask you, but I know you do, is important to you, is taxes, right?
Well, taxes are important to me because I think the government wastes far too much money. And I said, and we pay 6% here on sales tax.
Sales tax,
and
right.
I mean, and we have all these special taxes. You can't even stay in a hotel in Maryland now without paying an occupancy tax.
Yes, they have those, yeah.
You go to get a suntan, they have a suntan tax. You go to buy alcohol, there's an alcohol tax. Buy cigarettes, a cigarette tax. Every time you turn around, you're taxed. And when you add all those taxes up, I bet you even your paycheck, 50% of your pay is going to a tax of one form or another. That is excessive. I understand 10%, you know, give 10% back to the community, you know, so that we're taking care of things that need to be taken care of. But when you start going over 10%, I want to know where you're throwing that money away at. And it always ends up to be in somebody's friend's pocket, or they're building something that isn't built right and has to be rebuilt. It costs the taxpayer again. Like those metro stations they were building. They got it all done, they're ready to open. They say, oh, we used inferior cement.
Yeah.
If I built a house like that, the county would be there saying, oh, you messed this up, tear it all down and start over.
Right.
But when they hire some company to do it, they wait till the whole project's done, then say, oh, there's a problem. Where were the inspectors like when they come to my house? Aren't they supposed to be inspecting that stuff as they build it, just like my house?
Right, exactly.
But apparently they don't have to because they're a big corporation, and they get all this red tape just pushed aside. The same thing happened with that Dominion Power down there in Calvert County. The county commissioners just streamlined all the permitting process, and even though the citizens down there filed a lawsuit against them, they just ignored it and just kept going. So by the time it got to court, it was too late. Everything was done. It's like you're telling the citizen, you don't matter. Do what you ever want to do because we're just going to keep doing what we want to do anyway.
Well, I know, you know, we've done story here talking about how because of Maryland taxes, so many people have left the state of Maryland.
Especially retirees.
The high cost of taxes. They'll go to Florida. They'll go to Delaware. They'll go, you know, places. Even watch corporate tax. They'll go somewhere else, you know.
And it's kind of funny because I go to Northeast a lot because they actually like me up there. I don't know why, but they love me up there. I mean, so I go up there. It's a really friendly place. I like going up there. But they'll tell you, too, they don't buy in Maryland. They're 5 minutes from the Delaware line where there's no sales tax.
Right.
They're like, why would I come here and pay 6% sales tax when I go across the line and don't pay anything?
Right.
They have so much more money in their pocket up there just because of that, that they're not feeling the squeeze that people that can't do that feel.
Right.
And it's just ridiculous. I mean, even resale tax, I call it. You buy a used car, they want their sales tax again. It's like, you got your sales tax on that product. Why are you entitled to sales tax again on the same product?
Sales tax, they're trying, I don't know if it came through Maryland yet or not, sales tax on internet purchases in Maryland.
And that's a hard one for them to collect, though, because if the company isn't based in Maryland, then it's really hard you're supposed to report it.
Right.
If you don't report it, it's really hard for the state to find out what you bought online if it wasn't a Maryland company. But if it's a Maryland company, the company knows that it's going to be tracked, so they just automatically charge you the sales tax.
There you go.
So, yeah. But it's just ridiculous how much taxes we pay to the government, and then they don't even know where the money goes half the time. They put it into what they call the general fund. And then they wonder why the roads aren't fixed. Well, because you spent all this money outside the budget all year that you have to pay at the beginning of the next year, because our Constitution won't allow us to have a deficit. So if you can't have a deficit and you spent $10 million more than what was in the budget, where's that come from? Well, let's rob the road money, because that's coming in from the tolls. Nobody can tell.
Right.
So they rob it, they pay off the debt, and then they start with a new budget and do the same thing all over again.
Because remember, one of the other problems I've always had was that, you know, we're supposed to have a balanced budget. So if there's shortfall, they take it from the general fund.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah.
All the money goes in the general fund because it's really hard for a citizen to figure out what they're spending out of the general fund.
Right.
Because now it's just one account, so deductions could be on page 1, page 10, page 26, page 89. How do you keep track of it when it's not all together?
Right.
So they get away with it because nobody can really find out where the money, unless they're going to spend a whole lot of time with the budget.
Right.
And go through the bank accounts, you know, page by page and highlight and highlight and highlight, then add all those together and do the next one with a different color. It's like, it's just really hard for the people. So I'd like to get rid of the general fund altogether.
Right.
We can make this really easy for the people if everything that we take in for something goes into an account for that purpose. Have a road fund. Have a school fund.
There you go.
You know, whatever we're bringing money in for, it should go into its own separate
Everything's
account.
earmarked.
Right. So then if you have a problem with road money, you should be able to go over there and just look at the sheets for the road, and it's all together.
Right.
You say, well, look, we took in this much money. We only spent that much. How come there's a shortage? There should still be this much money in there. And then they have to explain why that money's not there. But with the general fund, you never get to that point because you don't know where the shortages are. They're having this problem with casinos now. I mean, Mr. Jealous is all over the place. I'm going to get this casino money. He doesn't even know where the money's going. It's like, how are you going to get something you can't find?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we have to do is find everything, you know, and it might be a big audit of the state just to find out. But our legislators, they don't pass things to do things for people. They do things that do things for them. And a perfect example of that is last year when we had the rape bill went in there. If a woman got raped, the bill said that the person that did the crime couldn't force them to share custody. They didn't have to be put up with, you're the father, so you get custody and I have to deal with you every week, which is a real good bill. I mean, you committed a crime on me and now the state's going to say you have to deal with me every week because you did something to me. Right. So it should have went through like that. It was clear cut that it was a good bill. Nobody really had a problem with it, but they couldn't get any mileage on it last year. So they threw it in a drawer and their excuse was, oh, we ran out of time. They had almost 3 weeks to pass that bill. This year, it's election year. As soon as the legislation opened up, the first thing out of the drawer, it was passed within hours.
There you go.
Because now it's like, look what we did.
Yeah.
Because of the election year. So they got mileage out of it, so then it was okay to pass it.
Right.
And it's like, this isn't what our legislators should do. They shouldn't be able to throw any bill in the drawer at all. If it comes up, it should go on the floor. There should be an up and down vote. If it's voted down, it goes away until somebody introduces it again.
Right.
But that way you don't have anything sitting in the drawer and they can't hold it to do whatever they want for themselves. And they don't like that either.
Now, to get a little bit different, but quickly before we end, your opponents.
Which one?
Well, we'll start with
there's
Mr. Jealous now. But I don't know about that other one, but I have never heard of that person. But you can tell me maybe if we have time. But Ben Jealous and the Republican Governors Association are attacking him, saying he's a socialist. And what is it that, why should people really vote for you instead of Ben Jealous? What do you have to say about that without getting too controversial?
Well, I don't really need to get controversial. I mean, the thing I have over Ben Jealous is I really do know how the government works because I've done my homework. So I know what we can do with money, what we can't do with money. And I know you can't give teachers a 33% raise because it's $1 trillion. There is no way in the world you're ever going to see an extra $1 trillion just to give to teachers. Now, 3 to 5%, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable raise that anybody should expect.
Right.
I could get behind that.
Okay.
But 33%, come on. It's never going to happen. So if you're voting for him for that 33%, you're never going to see it. You'd be better off to vote for me and take the 3 to 5, and you're better off than you were before.
And you say he's progressive as opposed to being liberal Democrat? Would you put him as a progressive? Or a socialist?
I never knew who Ben Jealous was before this election when I first met him. And when you meet the guy, he's a nice enough guy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But he really has no clue what the issues are sometimes. When he gets in front of a camera and he starts getting hammered with questions, he doesn't have answers because he has talking points that sound good to people. You know, I'm going to 100% fund schools. Well, that sounds good, but do you know what 100% funding is?
Go ahead.
There's no way to 100% fund anything because you don't know what's going to come up. There's not a single thing in this state that you can 100% fund. You have to pick out what you're willing to fund and then spend the rest of that money on something else that needs to be funded. So there's always going to be stuff that you can't fund 100%. But he's telling people, oh yeah, you're in the schools 100%. Well, then what don't we have? If you 100% fund schools, a whole bunch of things have to go away to have that kind of money. What if the schools decide they want all this new stuff now because you're funding them? Well, you said 100%, you got to cover that too. So he really doesn't have a concept of how the government works and what he can and can't do. And that's what trips him up. Where Hogan is really sharp. Hogan knows how to tell you what you want to hear and convince you that he's doing something. And it's like I just heard him the other day, you know, telling people he brought in 10,000 jobs or so back to Dundalk. And I'm sitting there thinking, where's your list? You know, when you took office, you said you did you lowered 100 fees for people, and as I asked you time and time again for a list, you couldn't even give me 5 fees that you lowered. You claim you lowered tolls. In actuality, you lowered 4 tolls. You know, and those 4 tolls happen to cover people that put money into your campaign, from Kent Island coming across the bridge. It's like, so he's real shady about how he tells you stuff. And then he had Hogan Strong LLC, which he started saying from when he had cancer. He said, well, I started this up so we get money to give to charities. Well, we can't find anywhere that they've given money to any charity at all. They haven't paid their taxes with the state, so they're listed as bad filing with the state. And it's like, and as soon as that started coming up, he distanced himself, and his old campaign manager now runs it. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff that just, you can't really prove anything for sure, but you know something's going on. So.
Yeah. Because he runs on basically, I think, like you said, his goodwill with the voters. Maybe not what he's done or what he says he's done, and he's done this other thing, but he's Mr. Nice Guy that beat cancer.
That's what he pushes. And like I say, he's got $18 million. I guess if I had $18 million, I could pay enough people to say I was a good guy. But in the end, I'm not trying to be a good guy. I'm trying to be the guy that does the job right for everybody. And so you may not like some of my ideas, but I bet you like a lot of my ideas. And most times when people say they won't vote for me, it's on a single issue. I'm like, well, you only like one thing Hogan does, and you're ready to put him in office, but you only dislike one thing I do, and you're not even willing to give me a shot. I said, what does that really say about your thinking? You know, the idea is to do the best for the most people. So that's what you should be looking for in a candidate. So if yeah, I'll argue with you. You say something that's crap, I'm going to tell you it's crap. I'm going to tell you why it's crap. If you can prove I'm wrong, then I'll back down and apologize. But if you don't have facts to back up your story, don't throw talking points at me, because I'll just tear that stuff apart. I said, here's some facts for you. And that's what gets Republicans really upset, because they're really voting R. It's not they're voting for Hogan, they're voting R. And Democrats do the same thing. They're not voting for jealous, they're voting for D. And
you
that
really
doesn't
should
get
vote
things
the
fixed.
person, not the party.
That's what I think. I think you should actually look at every candidate, and there's 4 candidates running for governor.
Who's the other one? I don't know who this other one is.
I don't want to say his last name wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but his first name is I-O-N. He's the Green Party candidate.
Oh, Green Party. Okay, we have a Green Party candidate as well.
And he said on Channel 47 when he was interviewed that he's only looking for 1% of the vote because he wants to keep his party on the ballot next time, and that's what's required so that you don't lose ballot access, which is commendable if that's what he's doing. But I kind of look at it also saying, well, you're running for governor. You know, if you're not running to win, why should people sit there and give you 1% of their vote when they could put it somewhere else and maybe get somebody else that they like? So, but, you know, people do what they do when they run. And I do understand as a third party that 1% is really important, because if you lose that 1%, then you have to go out and start doing signatures to get back on the ballot, which is very costly and very hard to do. And that's why they made it a law.
Well, I mean, for you, for example, I mean, in fact, it's a big uphill battle for you to even win. So what are you trying to do by your campaign? How, I mean, you know.
Well, the first thing is every battle's uphill for third parties. So I don't even worry about that. It just means I have to work a little harder. But I just go out there, and the first thing I do is I walk up to somebody, I say, can I shake your hand? So they start talking to me, and then we start talking, and then we get on issues. And they find out that the people that have told them these lies, they're like, wow, I never knew this. I never knew that. And then they actually go and do some research. And next thing you know, they're like, wow, I should be voting for you. And that's what's important, that you pick the best person. If it's not me, if you don't think I'm the best person, I don't expect you to vote for me just because I'm a libertarian. I expect you to vote for me because you've researched me. You said, hey, this guy can make a difference. If you don't think that, you shouldn't waste your vote on me. But if you think I am that person, you shouldn't waste your vote on a D and an R, because they're never going to give you that if you think I'm the guy that's going to do it. And it's just a matter of convincing people, because we're trained from childhood. I mean, when I was born, my parents were Democrats. So I was just naturally a Democrat. You know, that's what your family teaches you. We're Democrats, and this is how we do things. This is what we vote. When I went in the Navy, I saw a different light from Republicans. Ronald Reagan gave me a big pay raise, and I could actually afford to live while I was in the Navy after I got that pay raise. So now I'm a Republican, you know? And I really you never really get on board to figure out what's really going on. You just go by what you hear and what you know. When you get involved, and that's what happened in 2010 when I got involved, I started realizing how things really work. And it's not what people usually think. There's a lot of things that go on behind closed doors that nobody ever hears. And there's a lot of favors done for people because they help get somebody in office. And that stuff really needs to stop. I mean, if you're not willing to do something for every citizen, you shouldn't do it for any citizen.
There you go.
But that's not what happens.
No, that's true. Now, what I'd like you to do is go over here, look in that camera, and give people your contact information, how they can find out about you and your positions.
My name is Sean Quinn. I'm the Libertarian candidate for governor. I have a webpage. It's citizensforquinn.org. If you go on there, it has all my things listed. I also have a Facebook page. It's Sean Quinn for Governor. And I also have a personal Facebook page that's just under Sean Quinn. And anybody that wants to talk to me, I don't care who you are, what party you belong to. If you want to talk to me and have a discussion about issues, come to my Facebook page and I'll talk to you. But if you come with just talking points and no facts, I'm going to tear you apart. You're going to be mad at me, and you're not going to like it, and then you're just going to start calling me names because you have no facts left. So bone up on your issues and come talk to me. Let's talk about issues and make things better in Maryland for all of us, because that's what's important.
Terrific. Thank you, Sean, for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Busy day.
It was a speed across the state to get back here in time.
Oh, we're glad you made it. And I will say now to our audience to say, that's the end of another program here on Maryland Politics, and I hope you were informed and enlightened a little bit by what Sean Quinn had to say. And please do what he said. Look at his website. Look where he is at on the positions, because, as I always say, the best voter is an educated, informed voter, not just automatically hit that switch like Sean was saying. And so until the next time, whether it's myself or Derek Sterling, this is another issue of Maryland Politics here at TV Free Baltimore, and see you next time.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
This is my jump shot. Trash ball, I need pay. Everybody wins. Let me show you how to play. Well, you pick up some trash, and it's a ball, and then you throw it in the bucket. You're playing a trash ball. A jump shot hook, you gotta put it away. We're gonna play that trash ball every day.
Come on, Baltimore, play ball and keep it clean.
Hey there, folks. This is Lenny Rudo from Fish Talk Magazine, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore.
In all of freedom's history, there has never been an organization quite like the National Rifle Association of America. No other people are so alert, so vigilant, so unafraid to take a stand and go out and fight for what's good and right. We, the people of the National Rifle Association, represent the very best of America's strength and of America's character.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
This is Sam with Restore Computer Repair in Baltimore, Maryland. If you're having any computer problems whatsoever with your Mac or PC, desktop or laptop, we can fix it at a guaranteed lowest price. We're located at 8701 Harford Road in Parkville, Maryland, 21234. You can reach us at 443-725-5050. That's 443-725-5050. We're open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can reach us at www.restorecomputerrepair.com.
Hey guys, Johnny Alonzo, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore.
You're watching The Paul Stefan Show on TV Free Baltimore.
Hello, this is Paul Stefan, and tonight we're talking to more of those people who work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, but sometimes you don't know who they are because maybe they're doubling for somebody else. We have stunt actors, I like to call them, Rick Kane and Karen Carbone. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Now, if you could, I'm going to ask you both of you a lot of.
I'm Rick, by the way. This is Karen. Just
okay, yeah, we want to get that straight. But any recent or current projects that you're both working on or have just finished that you can talk about?
That we can talk
Can
about.
talk about.
Or what have you done recently?
All right, so
Even that's in the last year or so.
Yeah, I just did a doubling job, some doubling work on TV show Quantico.
Oh, okay.
That just aired 2 weeks ago. Bullet Train, Runaway Train. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was doubling a guy on that, and then recently did some work on as a stunt actor on a film that's being shot locally that we cannot talk about.
Right. But also, what about, maybe we'll bleep this out, but can you talk about Glass at all?
I don't know. I did work, I doubled Bruce Willis for a few days for some reshoots on a film that M. Night Shyamalan's doing. It's the third film in a trilogy, which was Unbreakable, Split, and then the last one is Glass.
Right, exactly. Because, I mean, you'd already said this in another interview.
I did.
So
I think I can say that I did, that I worked on it. But
for a couple days.
Yeah, I did.
Now,
3 or 4 days.
Basically stunts that they didn't want him to do?
No. Basically, the film had been done, and they wanted to do some reshoots for a couple of weeks. And
so long shots, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, as we are on this sound stage, very often you're doing things on green screen, and with cables, and very often you want to bookend when you're shooting an action sequence. You want to bookend things practically, so you start with a practical shot, and then you maybe do a green screen shot or something CGI, and then you follow up with a practical shot. And so they had determined that they wanted some more practical shots to finish off the shots that they had. You know?
Okay, great. And that gets you kind of up to date, right?
Gets me up to date.
Okay, and Karen.
Yeah, I just recently kind of came off the same set that we're not allowed to talk about yet.
The secret project.
The super secret project. Doing some stunt work on that.
Okay, great.
So that was fun, as usual. And I've got a couple of regular shows that happen in another state.
Oh, boy.
If I'm allowed to say that. Virginia.
Oh, sure you can say
DMV, it's all the same.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a couple of regular shows there for local shows.
That's all part of one where, you're reviewing like local Virginia libraries.
Yep, I've got a library show and a park show. This man does his homework.
He does.
All about
I did see part of it.
Yeah, so sometimes I get to do some stunty type stuff with the park show, but the library show, there's no crazy stunts in the library.
I think this one was at the Herndon Library.
Yeah,
so you did.
That's the intellectual side of me, and then the
there's the
athletic side of me.
There's the strong gal right there. Now, for both of you, I guess, where did your interest in acting come from?
Your mom. I mean, I didn't get it from Rick's mom, but Rick got it from
mom.
Oh,
you want her to go first? Well, yeah, guys can switch. You started first last time. We'll keep score now. It's her turn. It's like a debate.
Carbone. Okay. My parents were fabulous about supporting my acting career. We always got taken to the theater play. We had season tickets to Olney and Maryland and Burnbrae and Harlequin and going to watch his mom. And so I was grown up in a very theater supportive environment. My dad had a great writing background. Neither of my parents were performers.
Right.
So when I went off and wanted to be a theater major, they were very actually supportive of it, which was fabulous, because that's, hey mom, I'm going to go be an actor, and they're like, oh great, we're going to pay for your loans forever.
Right,
so,
exactly.
I was the kid who was doing shows in the basement, grew up dancing and doing gymnastics and doing all sorts of crazy writing and performing, and just carried that all the way through to college, and then just tried to make a living of it after I graduated.
Okay, and Rick, I guess it's already been prefaced about your mother.
A little bit.
I mean, about mom.
I thought my mother was an actress locally.
Local.
At Burnbrae and Colony 7, and she could have, she is probably one of the best actresses I've ever experienced in my life and watched her perform. She is amazing, was amazing. But I thought acting was a stupid profession. My father was a spy. And so at any rate, I went into business and went to finish my degree, and I needed an arts credit, and I took an acting class. And so after 20 years in business, I came home and told my wife that I was hooked on acting and was quitting my 6-figure-a-year job with healthcare and vacation and everything else to pursue a career as a starving actor.
That's quite a risk.
It kind of seemed like it, but you know what? She was on board, my biggest #1 fan.
Terrific.
You know, my mom, I had no idea what I was watching when I was watching. My mother worked very, very hard as an actress, and she was really amazing, and I got to see what she did. But, you know, I got into it, and I realized I didn't know that stunts was an option. And I met a guy named Charlie Pacerni who's been in stunts for years. And we did a little gag down in D.C. on a show called 7 Days. And he came up to me and he said, you know, I got to tell you something. I don't know whether you should be in front of the camera or behind the camera, but I think you would be great in this industry and you should pursue a career. So all these things kind of happened at the same time. And I made a decision to, yeah, go for it.
So for both of you, did acting come first or did stunts come first?
Acting came first.
Acting came
for
first.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. And where did the shift happen? How did you both stumble into the stunt work?
Well, I know for me, all of the hobbies I had were stunt related. I was a certified diver. I raced cars. So firearms. I did kickboxing. So like fighting, firearms, and cars. That's like the top 3 things. So they were already something that I was already pursuing.
Right.
So it's kind of like, wow, great. I can get paid like a whole lot more.
Do what I like to do.
Yeah, do what I like to do.
Yeah, for me, I was, acting and had a stunt coordinator friend that was also an actor, and he was coordinating America's Most Wanted when that was shot in D.C. and Maryland. And he needed a double for a little old lady, which I seem to double a lot. And he's like, well, Karen, you're a personal trainer, you're a fitness instructor, you're a tomboy, and he's like, you can do this, you want to do this? And I was like, sure, yeah. So that's, just like Rick said, all the things that we love to do, being athletic and outgoing and just...
And it's all acting. It's all acting.
That's why I say stunt
people forget that.
You can fall, but you have to sell the fall.
It's a physicality, it's a body awareness, but it's all acting. And you can argue it till the cows come home. If the camera's on you, you're acting. When you get hit by a bullet, you're not really getting hit by a bullet. You're acting like you got hit by a bullet.
Exactly.
So it's all acting.
Like I said, you have to sell it.
You got to sell it.
Yeah. And that's why I always say stunt actors, and a lot of people like to use that term to give you guys credit for what you do. And, as far as the stunt work, let me see. You, of course, are a stunt coordinator.
I am. Yes.
And maybe you can jump in there and tell us what the stunt coordinator does as opposed to a stunt actor.
Well, I'll tell you what I do as a stunt coordinator. I get hold of a script and I read it and I break it down and I look for all of the action beats. And that they might not necessarily be a stunt, but it might be something action related. And I try and focus on supporting the director's narrative. And not make it, and this is where I think I differ than a lot of stunt coordinators, I don't make it about the stunts, I make it about the story. And how can I make the action support the director's narrative and keep it safe? And that's pretty much what I do. And then I sit there and I figure out and design, like on Solar's Point, the most recent film that I coordinated.
And we're trying to get Matt Porterfield in here
Matt
too.
is amazing, and we had a great stunt where we put a car into the Chesapeake Bay, a running car under the Key Bridge.
Oh, wow.
And we had to work with the EPA, Bridges and Tunnels, the Port Authority police. It was a very long, protracted thing for something that lasts about 60 seconds on screen. A lot of safety issues. And I'm very, very proud of that stunt and how it came off and that we were able to do it. But that started off as taking a car and launching it off a pier. And we really got into the reality of the cost of it. But the more important thing, we were talking to Matt, and I was with the art director. You were saying, when I read the script, I didn't really read it as that. You have this young man that made this rash decision, and he did something very impulsive. And yeah, that would be very, Burt Reynolds, Gator, going off the thing. But, we walked around the corner, and we said, for significantly less money and in much better support of your narrative, look at this really cool set. We can drive this thing right into the bay, and it really would be compelling. And he says, yeah, we'll save a lot of money, and yeah, it would be better. And so, and I really see that about the job. And if launching it off a pier was really the thing that would have sold the story, then I would have been all about that. So I don't know, digress a little bit here, but you know, that's what I feel like it is about as far as designing action sequences.
Well, that's good, because I mean, in some places, I don't know if other stunt coordinators are guilty of this, but you can see a lot of action films today, and it's almost like the whole film is just a setup for the next action sequence.
It is.
You know,
I watched a film yesterday that were numerous choreographed fights and a lot of big name actors. And because I knew who the lead actor was in the show, I already knew who was going to win the fight.
Yeah.
And it was a big fight sequence, and they had multiple fight sequences over and over and over again. And I was bored because there was no arc to it.
Right.
And as actors, we understand that there needs to be, you don't shoot your wad in the first frame.
Right.
You build into it, and you gradually build it. And I think good action coordinators understand the narrative, and they build it. You don't put, you can put your lead guy in difficult situations, guy or gal, but we already know they're not dying in the first 30 seconds. So, you know, don't shoot your wad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, part of that, I mean, the older days, you know that John Wayne would always win.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, and everybody knew that. So if he gets into a fist fight or a gunfight, he's going to come out on top. But they might save it for the last reel. You know?
They would, but they never had the big fight at the beginning. They had the big fight at the end. And you can't keep, amping it up. You know, you got to gradually create some kind of an arc.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
I think that's part of the problem I see when I had a couple of other directors in here, and the people who are kind of in the horror genre. There's so much shock. There's so much blood. You don't tell the story anymore. There's not really suspense like you see in something like the recursion theorem. You know, something that plays with your head more, as opposed to let's see how much gore we can get on the screen because this is what the teens want to see when they go to the movie or they want to buy it on Netflix or something. So, I mean, you sound like you have a great perspective, and it just using it to advance the story, not for it to be the story.
No, I mean, the guy that wrote the script has a vision.
Right.
And you grab hold of that and you look at it and you go, how can I create what this guy put on the page? And a lot of times that's a challenge enough than to invent your own. And then you have the reality of a budget. And then you sit there and go, okay, well, and you never want to say, I can't do this. You want to say what you can do with the resources that you have. And sometimes you can do you can do more than is expected, but it's got to support the vision that the writer and the director are trying to achieve.
Right. One of the things that you know, I think you talked about a little bit off camera, I wanted to bring this up about how everything in our life and our experiences prepare us. How did, for both of you, how did your previous lives prepare you for acting and stunt work?
I was actually born a Russian spy in a foreign land, and I'm not really who you think I am, Paul.
Well, you do have a top secret security.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you very much. How do you know that? He's super good.
Well,
do you have a clearance? That's my question.
FBI contact.
There you go. Yeah. Well, it's funny because a lot of people who do have clearances do because they have previous government jobs. So coming from an acting point of view and being able to get that just solely,
it's amazing.
You know, that's
maybe it had something to do with your work for the Spy Museum.
Yeah, there you go. In the bowels of the Spy Museum. But kind of what I touched on before, for me it was just all the athletics that I did, and then the theater, and then it combined.
So you were an athletic kid, and of course you got into training, obviously, because you trained people.
Yeah, I was a trainer. I would go all over the world. Actually went all over other countries and trained and taught fitness, and that was great. Yeah, someone wants to send me to Jamaica for 2 weeks or to Brazil for Carnival to teach and train. Yeah, we'll go. So
why not?
All that, you know, just kind of kept me physical and active. Combine that with my love of acting, and I think in the DC area, I graduated, one of my degrees was in theater. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go take the DC theater by storm, and it's a little harder to break into. And then I got my first SAG job and said, well, this is more fun and easy and pays a little bit better. So for me, it just was a natural progression.
Because I mean, I noted, I wanted to try to some commonalities between the two of you. One of the things I got across, and also, you know, if I speak to me, I'm there too, is it changing your careers. I mean, you had a business, we're not going to talk about it, but you had business before. We'll talk later about the business you have now. And then you come from 21 years or so in business, holder of 2 patents.
6.
6, it said 2 somewhere, so 6, I like that better. And you walk away from that to become an actor. you know, and to say that now you both are living that dream and you're making your second careers work. This is my second career.
Right.
So, you know, it's a whole different thing. But you got to follow your passion. I believe.
As everyone says, you know, someone comes to us and says, hey, I want to be an actor. You're like, is there anything else you want to do?
Exactly.
If the answer is no, okay, be an actor. If the answer is, yeah, I might want to be a
Then
doctor
go do
or
that.
then go do that.
We say that all the time. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you can see yourself doing anything else, do that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, I had started that way too. I mean, at basically musical theater. And my mother said to me, you're not going to make any money at this. Go do something that's going to be steady. And so I followed that until I came back to getting to it later, singing with a band as a swing orchestra, actually, here in the Baltimore area.
Wow.
And then now picking up with this enterprise, which we think we have the first internet television station and network maybe in the country. And so we're growing slowly, but we're doing it right. So everything comes out professional quality, which you may have seen, in the one with Dylan. And
that's critical. That's important stuff.
Yeah, we're at the place where people can say we're at the level of maybe network affiliates or national, because Johnny Alonso checked us out before, you know, we actually broadcast. So he said, I'm not going to be part of anything that's not professional or not sloppy.
Actually, I did check you guys out. When
You
sent
did?
me that, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I watched the one with Dylan, too.
I know.
Make sure we all say the same thing.
And make sure that you do say the same things. But let me see, where am I now? All right, with some of the things with, other things with the world of stunts. Because I talked to Dylan about this, and if you saw the interview, he didn't. But I told him, brought up that terminology, precision driver.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
And he said no such thing that he knew of. He says stunt driving is stunt driving. If you take so many courses, you can call yourself a precision driver. And I know I'm having you in here. I want you to set the record straight as, you know, what's a precision driver or precision driver compared to a stunt driver?
All right, there is the world of the Screen Actors Guild and the union and what they define stunt driving to be.
Okay.
Driving on the Baltimore Beltway in rush hour would be stunt driving because
Yes.
you're going over the speed limit and you're driving in close proximity to other cars. So there's a clear definition. They eliminated the term precision driving, and that totally came down to some shenanigans going on with contracts and commercials, where they were doing they were paying on a background voucher a higher rate than you would make as a background player, but not as much as you would work as a stunt performer. And the union felt that maybe stunt performers, that people were coming in as precision drivers and actually doing stunt driving and undercutting people that work in the field of stunt driving. But there is a very, very clear definition in the SAG contract of what stunt driving is. Now, that being said,
yes,
I have been on sets of very, very, very big movies where people were under a stunt contract and they could not parallel park.
Whoa.
They did not have the ability to parallel park. Now, would parallel parking is something that you need to do to pass a basic driving test. There are people that cannot parallel park. So, you know, we can just sit here and we can have this dialogue and this discussion all day long, but to be a good driver on set, you need to be able to pull up and hit a mark so that if an actor is stepping out of the back seat and puts his foot down, that it is in dead focus. And if you run a camera, or camera guy knows, you set the focus and you set it on that mark, and that car has to fly in, slide up, hit a mark, and be in focus at every frickin' time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to, if you're sliding the car, then it's stunt driving. If you're not breaking traction and you're not going over the speed limit and all these other things, but you're still hitting a mark, then that's just plain good frickin' driving.
Right.
If you're parallel parking, but you're not sliding, you're not going over the speed limit, you're not on unimproved surfaces, anything is defined as a stunt driver, but you can parallel park, well, I would call that a good driver.
Okay.
Okay? So, I mean, I don't know if I've answered your question,
No,
but what is required
Right.
of somebody that's driving in film is the ability to consistently hit a predetermined mark at any speed
Right.
that they're asked to do it at.
And I mean, amazing other things people see in the movie all the time, going on 2 wheels and flipping cars and jumps and, you know.
Yeah,
all
we
kinds
call
of stuff.
that skiing a car,
Yeah.
skating a car. I don't know. You flip it up, and I have a good friend. The guy that did the stunt for me on Solars Point, he's in live shows.
Okay.
He does that all the time. He drives it up on 2 wheels.
Oh, okay.
And that's a very, very interesting. I've only been a passenger in that equation, and that's a very, very interesting process because you have to hit a ramp at a particular speed to bring the one side of the car up. If you go too fast, it'll flip it over. It's the same as a pipe ramp. You're trying to roll a car. So you hit a very similar ramp at a given speed, and you get it up on the sidewalls of the tires, and then drive it.
Now, for the two of you, you have to answer this one separately. What was your most difficult stunt that you survived? Obviously, you're here, so you survived.
That's creepy.
Difficult.
That's a creepy question.
Yeah. I don't know, most difficult, because...
They're all difficult, right?
No, but they're...
No, but is there something that was really hazardous? I mean, there's some people, that's the other one, get into that too. I got into it with Dylan, is that there's some people who are specialists, you know, they get paid more for doing special things, like you jump out of a 30-foot building, or you get set on fire and stuff like that. Well, I mean, those are hazards.
30 feet is pretty standard. I have a 30-foot tower in my backyard.
Oh, you do? Okay.
So
but I'm just saying, or even higher.
Standard.
But let's just say, or certain things, I know that some people are qualified to, oh, this guy gets paid more because we set him on fire. This guy does more because he did this. But was there anything that you guys thought was particularly dangerous or difficult?
Yeah, riding my bike on the highway.
Again, going back to riding a Baltimore Beltway.
That was not in a film.
Look, when we're on a set, we're working with professional people, and we're all on the same page.
Oh, okay.
So, and we rehearse things, and we do it. So, I mean, I've been dinged a few times, but I've been hurt a whole hell of a lot worse leaving set or going to set, like tripping over the curb at Starbucks on the way to Die Hard.
Bigger bruise from wrestling with my dogs.
Yeah.
You know, than, I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, you have if you're a specialist, like a guy like Danny McCaskill, who's the #1 trials writer in the world on a bicycle.
Yeah.
You look him up on YouTube. It's crazy what that guy can do. There's 5 guys in the world that can do what he does. So if you need what he does, you call him.
Right.
Then there's another level of people that maybe there's 200 guys in the world that can do the next level.
Right.
Right. And then there's everybody else. So yeah, you'll work a lot if you have that specialty. But, you know, you have to have things in your bag of tricks. I don't know. Mine's being doubling old guys.
Love doubling old ladies. Come on.
Now, have either of you been seriously injured?
Yeah.
You have.
During work?
During work, yes, that's what I mean. Glad you qualified that.
Yeah.
At work, during work, yeah.
Never been hospitalized.
Okay,
Left
that's
with some
good.
pretty serious bruises.
Broken bones? No?
No broken bones.
Yeah,
no,
I've never broken a bone.
Neither of you? Okay.
Never broken a bone.
I fell out of bed when I was 5 and broke a bone. But,
well, okay,
you know,
but that was...
no one paid me
That was not a professional...
No, not a professional thing.
I've been hurt but never injured. On set.
Oh.
I've been injured like leaving set.
Okay, but not on set.
No, I had a cabbie pull out in front of me. I'm going down like 6th Ave, and a cabbie hung a left in front of me, and I ran into it.
That would have been great.
I was like, shoot, man, where's my stunt adjustment?
Now, also, you know, in the stunt world, especially, you know, I guess you both have done it for a while, is to say, because I know you talked in one of your interviews about how you've gone from film to where everything's digital now, that the difference now in how stunts had to be done, and now you can have stunts with the help of CGI or a green screen, and how that either helps or hurts you guys because stuff you used to have to do it all, whatever it was. And now in some ways they can have, you know, wizardry do it. What are your thoughts on that, folks?
I say that anything that helps us make it safer is good. So the ability to paint out, whereas you used to have to use thin cables that you had to hide, now you can use thicker cables because it's easier for the guys to paint them out when they can see them. So that's a plus. Because if you're flying people, you're flying them on cables. People don't fly. It just doesn't, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Green screen it's great. Being able to do things practically is great. But I did something on green screen we stunt coordinated a music video, and I had a guy doubling Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
And we did this stair fall, but we set it up where it was shot on green screen. He was flipping like on cables on a green screen. The guy still had to be very, very athletic to do these flips. It couldn't be just any Joe Schmo. It had to be somebody very, very athletic that could do this consistently and make it look good.
Right.
We could have had him do a stair fall, but we didn't need to because we had the green screen and it looked cooler filming him on the cables. So it makes it better, but you still have to be very, very capable, physically capable.
Right. It's not like they are saving you in some way.
No.
No, if they're upping the safety factor, that's good for everybody.
So you agree with
Oh,
what you say?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Trying to think. Now, I'm trying to think of some other things here. Other work that the both of you do, because we'll get into that. And now for you especially, we're going to get back to you a little bit. Besides your acting and your stunt work, you have done things like voiceover.
Yes. Yes.
And video games, audiobooks, etc.
Yep.
Is this another alternate part or another piece of your career?
Yeah. Well, I think in this area, at least from my experience, is that you have to do a little bit of everything. You know, when I first started out, I started out doing theater and then doing film and then doing the voice work and doing, modeling and, foot modeling, and then, it just expands. So in this area, whereas if I was in New York or LA, I could make a career just out of stunts, hopefully, or acting. So yeah, voiceovers have been very good to me.
Oh,
so,
good. I mean, interesting that you brought up the theater. It surprised me when I saw that you did Othello at Gallaudet. Do you know ASL?
No, but I tell you, you want to see real actors and emotions, go see a deaf production of thing. It was amazing. It was Gallaudet students, so they were on stage, and the voice actors were in the pit.
Oh,
so they were signing, and we were speaking. We were voicing their lines, and the raw emotion, just watching the stage. Oh my gosh, blew me away. So I did that for several Gallaudet productions, which was amazing, very moving.
Because they're terrific actors. I've seen, they used to have on TV a lot of times, the American, Theater of the Deaf or what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Some of their stuff is just mind-blowing. And now also, let's see if there's anything else that covers you, except for we want to get in a little bit too, before we get into this filmmaking aspect, your business, Carbone Entertainment.
Yes, Carbone Entertainment.
And I thought that was fantastic, especially where you are in the D.C. area, to see all these, things that you can put together for adult parties. Kids have all these great themed princess parties and everything else, and you can have all this stuff that adults can participate in, from a Vegas show, which looks like a Wayne Newton lookalike.
That was really Wayne Newton.
It really was Wayne Newton.
If you go to our website, Wayne Newton.
He looks like Wayne Newton.
Oh yeah, he jumped on that job.
Oh, he did. So it really was Wayne Newton.
Yeah, real Wayne Newton. I mean,
well, it wasn't the real Abe Lincoln. We know that.
No,
but you have Abe, and a lot of other things.
We do,
and that's great. Another great source of income for you. I think
we do basically everything except cook for you. You need actually, The Bachelorette just contacted us, and our Abe is going to be on The Bachelorette.
That's interesting.
One of our mimes was just on The Real Housewives of Potomac. So
that's almost like you're like saying like the kids. We're putting on a show.
I mean,
it's like you're a producer in a way.
It's just not in my parents' basement anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you are producing all these great events, which is terrific.
It's fun. Yeah, thank you. Whether it's providing zombies for the Nats for a big Nats baseball thing, or if it's if you need circus people or acrobats or anything, we do that, and it's just because these are my friends, hiring my friends who do these performance things. So it luckily turned into a business that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a throwback almost like the 30s and 40s. You have all these specialty type people or acts, and you're like their agent. It's like, and they all kind of work under you, get them work. And it's kind of what it reminds you of, like a vaudeville type of thing. And speaking of The Bachelorette, I want to know how you did stunts on The Bachelorette.
I didn't do stunts on The
Bachelorette. You didn't? It said you did.
Oh, the movie, The Bachelorette.
Oh, it was the movie. I thought it was the TV show.
No. It was the movie, The Bachelorette.
Okay, I thought maybe you had what kind of stunts
he
did
was
you do
the
there?
stunt Abe for my Abe.
Yeah, that's what it was. But no, I think that's a fantastic thing, because when we have our big launch, I'm going to put on, hopefully, a show here in Baltimore that'll be like a throwback to Ed Sullivan. I want a bunch of different kinds of acts.
Oh, like variety show?
A variety show.
I even got an Ed Sullivan impersonator for you.
Well, can I come and sing and play the guitar?
If you like.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I'd like to try.
I'm just saying that we have some good people I have in mind. I'm Baltimore magician.
Johnny Alonzo.
I mean, maybe him, but Baltimore magician who is an escape artist and has been on America's
Oh,
Got
nice.
Talent in Vegas and everything like that. He's got his own theater in South Baltimore. Every weekend you can go see a comedy magic show there and an escape that he'll do.
Who is it?
His name is Spencer Horseman.
Oh, do you know Spencer?
I don't book him
No.
now.
No, and he's great. I mean, and his father, and he ran the magic shop here, and he's been doing this for quite a while.
Oh,
and some
very
other
cool.
people. I have a Swedish jazz musician that I interviewed.
We have an
Tons of folks.
amazing talent base in the DMV.
In the DMV. And I definitely want people to know about that.
No, we really do. I have spent the last 18 months just saying yes to everybody that asks me to help them on their stuff.
Right.
And we do have an amazing talent pool here,
Now,
filmmakers.
To
and
get back
actors.
to both of you, especially you, how about now evolving into being a filmmaker?
Yep.
Talk about that a
So,
little.
my first film was Final Notice. We just won Audience Choice Award at the Financial Film Festival. We found out we were edutainment.
Okay.
And we found our audience. It was pretty cool.
Good.
And our second film, The Tracker, just screened at the Maryland International Film Festival and at the North Beach Film Festival. We're feeling good about that. And right now we're in the process of producing 2 more films,
Terrific.
short films. Yeah, the Retirement, The Elephant Spiel, and the other one's called Unheard Melodies. And we're about halfway through production on Unheard Melodies right now.
Now you're producing, but are you also directing, writing? What do you do?
Acting? No, on the Elephant Spiel, I am producing and acting. On Unheard Melodies, I actually am shooting it. I DP'd it.
Wow.
And shot the whole thing, and I'm going to do a little bit of acting in it.
Terrific.
And executive producing. Yeah, so I've been trying lots of bits and pieces. You asked me earlier, I came from manufacturing.
Right.
And so I had many departments, and each created elements of things. We had a design department that came up with the idea. We had engineering. And then people made components, and all those components need to come together. At the end of the day, we had to have a deliverable so that we could pay the bills. And filmmaking is that. You want to get the best creative people involved in these projects, and at the end of the day, that all of those components that they put together come together, and you have a deliverable, a film.
Right.
And it's pretty to me, it's very magical, because if you have something that you've written, as we've written a screenplay together,
that's great,
and we did a table read, it's flat, it's on the page, but when you bring the actors in and you do the casting, and they start with the script, it adds the dimension, and it's magic. It's amazing. As a stunt coordinator, I was doing a project, and I had pre-done it all, pre-visited it, and kind of knew how I wanted it. But then the actor came on set, and it was like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. And that was amazing. He sold it. That was just so good. So this collaboration,
right.
And this synergy, for lack of a better word, that just makes everything better when you get the right people together.
Right, I can get that. And for you, you helped him, or was your script about your life?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, will this thing ever be produced?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
It will be produced and done, and
Will you star as yourself?
We already have a sequel. She's already worked on the sequel.
Are you starring as yourself?
No.
no.
Oh, okay.
We can start in the sequel right now. If we start filming, we could make it a
Yeah.
reality TV, but
Yeah, okay.
no.
Well.
But again, that was kind of
Yeah.
weird too, is because the screenplay was basically about my life, and it, evolved as as having Rick as one of my very close friends. This conversation, he's like, "You gotta
Oh
write
my
all
God!
this
Do you remember the
stuff
night
down.
we did that? Do you remember the
You just
night
gotta,
we did that?
we remember the night that we were all sitting around and saying.
That was just
And they said, you just gotta write this. This has to be a movie because this does not happen in real life to people, and it's happening to you.
Yeah.
So we just kind of wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and I would just tell them my stories, and we have this great screenplay.
It's a good screenplay.
Good.
But,
And you know what it comes down to? Just committing and making it.
Yeah, and we did, and we gave ourselves deadlines and assignments and jobs, and then when we did our table read, having someone else, and you asked if I would be me, picking the actress who was going to be
that's hard, right?
me. It was, but she was me just as well, if not better, than I could have been me. It was, it was great.
It was.
It was basically, I just said, be me, but use your own interpretation of me, and I won't be offended.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Well,
And the
that's
actors that we brought in were amazing.
And they were all
Yeah.
DMV people.
Right.
They were all people that
Terrific.
we've worked with from our acting
Yeah.
careers and backgrounds.
And here's the thing, though. When we had the concept of the idea, if you stop and think about it, like, people are really excited because they just worked on a film that they got to shoot on 35 millimeter film.
Oh.
When I got in this business, nobody shot on anything but 35 millimeter.
Right, exactly.
So the business is moving in a direction that enables or grants opportunities to people that have an idea that 20 years ago when we got into business wasn't a possibility. A great filmmaker you should get on here, Chris Perillo, just completed a feature. He had done a lot of little shorts, and he came up with a feature script, and he shot it. And I hear it's pretty darn good.
I've heard the name.
Chris Perillo, you should get him on. He's an actor, but he's a filmmaker. But more importantly, he's somebody that said, God darn it, I'm going to do this. Because anybody can have an idea. Very few people will take it all the way through and make it. And there's never been a better opportunity for somebody that has a story to say it in film than there is right now.
Well, that's terrific. I mean, we do have here, Friday night I'll be interviewing a young man who just directed his first film. You know, they did a premiere at the Senator Theater a week or two ago. Nice. And I think his career, at least, I don't know if he was making money out of it, but he was a stand-up comic. But now it's a movie is called Bored in Baltimore.
Oh, nice.
I think. And it's all shot in Baltimore, and it's a Baltimore story. And actually, no, I'll take it back. It's called Bored in the USA. That's better. It's Bored in the USA. But it's all shot in Baltimore, and it's a Baltimore story. And so, again, it's his first.
Maybe get Bruce Springsteen to do some music for him.
Yeah, right. What do you have to pay for that? But anyway, so it seems like you're both headed towards this new thing, because that's the first thing you've written, right? Is the
yeah.
Because, I mean, moving into the future for both of you guys, I heard you say that you can't be doing stunts forever.
No, well, I can, but yeah, I'm finding out. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. So you asked earlier, everything that we do informs the next thing that we do.
Right.
It's circular, and it builds on itself. I was talking to my producing partner today. We looked at footage of our current film. And we're sitting there just going, "Wow, that was really good." I mean, wow, we're filmmakers. You know, it's like this is really good stuff. I mean, so the feature, we wrote this feature 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably 4 years ago.
3 to 4 years ago.
The capability that we have has finally caught up with the ideas that we have.
Ah.
So had we developed the capability and said, okay, let's write a feature, that you don't know when stuff's going to come at you. You just got to say yes. So we say, okay, let's write a feature. Well, our options are find somebody to come up with the money and make it, but it's like, well, then you got to find somebody that believes in it like you do. It's like,
no
you know what? Yeah. Well, why don't we just make it ourselves?
Yeah.
Well, 4 years ago, we didn't have the ability or the capability. Now we do.
And we did try to sell it and option it and everything. And we thought, you know what? No, because someone's going to buy it and take it and either change it, and then it's not going to be the story we want to tell, or they're going to, steal the idea and completely run with it and make it something different. But the message that I wanted to sell, that we wanted to sell, is very important. It's like, no, we can do this and make it the story that we intended to, because it was a very organic process.
It was.
And I think that's the best. That it's a real story. It's a real thing. And when it comes from the heart and from someone's life, and it's this lovely organic process between friends, it's.
And that's probably the most important theme about film, I think, is the art of it and the business of it.
Right.
And you can lower the bar so that it can relate to the greatest number of people that'll buy tickets, or you can stick to your guns and make the film you want to make.
Right.
And that's a very, very difficult thing, because if you're making something just to make money, it maybe isn't going to say what you want it to say.
Right.
And then when you make the thing you want to say, and then it hits, everybody goes, see, I knew it. Everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon.
Of course.
Yeah, I knew it all along. It was great. But no, they didn't.
But it's great you're doing it yourselves, because another filmmaker we've had here, I don't know if either of you know this guy, Mark Schell. But Mark Schell finances all his own films.
Yeah, we do
and he
too.
says if he makes any money off the film, then of course it just goes into the budget of the next one.
That's what we're doing.
And that's what's going on with him right now. But this is terrific. Of course, we'll have both of you back, or separately, together, whenever, bring even a bigger crowd.
How about if we invite you to the premiere of our film?
Love it.
Yeah.
And we'll film live from there.
All right.
Yes.
Live remotes
Yes.
now.
All right. 10 years from now, we'll be there. No, I'm sorry.
Live review. We've done live interviews here already. So, like I said, we're stepping it up all the time. We did our first split screen and live thing on Saturday night. But we want to thank you both for coming. And what do you want to separately now, look into your camera and tell people the contact information. How can we find Rick Kane? How can we find Karen Carbone and Carbone Entertainment?
We'll see how you do it.
All right. Well, you can find Karen Carbone through Carbone Entertainment, which is carboneentertainment.com. If you're looking for fun, find us. Or my contact is just karencarbone@gmail.com. Easy peasy.
I'm on Facebook, Rick Kane, or you can email me at rickkanestunts@yahoo.com.
Terrific.
I'm old school.
Thank you both again. And we're going to have to end the party for now, but it'll continue.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
And folks, that's the end of another one of our programs. And stay tuned. We will have a filmmaker coming up soon. And just keep watching. Till then, good night.
You're watching The Paul Stefan Show on TV Free Baltimore.
The next show will start in 1 minute.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of TV Free Baltimore's Movie Reviews. And today we have with us Ken Arnold and Dan DeLuca, who were the co-writers of the film The Night Watchman.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt. We just wanted to let you guys know that we are finishing up next week's layout. We're going to be working late, so no need to come in. Tasers ablazing.
What brings you to this line of work?
Well, this was the only place that would hire me.
Ouch. So the job is pretty simple. Well, what the hell is that?
You gotta be kidding me, man. You got the wrong address. It's a stiff, yo, man. What's the worst that could happen?
Hello? Randall, is that you? It's not funny, dude.
Guys? This is not good.
Hey guys, why are there people eating people?
What the hell is happening in here?
But what are these things?
Maybe they're vampires. Really? What? It's a thing! That is search this whole shit!
We wouldn't last a second out there.
Just wait them out in here. We're safe in here. Gear up. Let's go kill some dead people. This is our job. This is who we are. We're Nightwatch.
Let's talk about The Night Watchman.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Was that the first real project you two guys worked together where you had total control or close to total control?
It's not the first project that we've done where we've had total control. It's the first feature film that we've done together.
Okay.
That we've done together.
Oh, you've done it together.
Yeah,
right. Yes.
yeah. I mean, he's produced feature films on his own, and I've done other projects on my own.
Right.
So, but this is the first one we've done feature film together.
Yeah, because you've done all kinds of things behind the camera too.
Yes.
That, so.
And
Editing,
usually not
cinematography,
good stuff
director,
either.
producer.
Yes.
Not usually good stuff. But anyway, so this movie.
Craft services.
I mean,
I've done that.
I've done that too. Okay, you're going to Sam's Club and get the snacks.
Yeah, exactly. We've been there.
But I'm just saying that this movie you guys got together, and was it shot in Baltimore? I think it was.
It was shot in Annapolis.
Oh, Annapolis.
Yes,
at the Baltimore Gazette.
No, and not at the Baltimore Gazette.
Well,
in the film, it takes place at the Baltimore Gazette.
But it was just
the Capitol.
It was the Capitol Gazette.
Their old newspaper building in Annapolis that they had just left because the Baltimore Sun bought them.
Oh, so it was an abandoned
building.
Yes,
and the fabulous part was they left everything behind. Everything.
Terrific. So you had your props already?
Yes.
Well, you know, the script changed to meet the location.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
Ken and I, for a couple of months, I guess, with Bill Steffi, had been looking at different locations.
In and around Baltimore.
Yeah, we had originally shot up at Fort Ritchie. There was a location up there. We needed an empty warehouse. We shot there for the trailer that Ed Sanchez helped us out with, wrote the trailer for, and all that. And then Bill Steffi started showing us around. We saw multiple locations, and when we saw this one, we're like, okay, not only is this it,
yeah,
I'm going to take a look at the script and rewrite the script based on the location, which still had the big printing press, and it was obviously a newspaper, and you know, okay, this will work. And so, as independent filmmakers, we take advantage of whatever we can, and that added so much more to the film,
to the final product,
than if it was just a nondescript warehouse. Now it was a newspaper.
What is the plot of the film? I mean, the idea is it's sort of comedy horror?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, you know, from the get-go, Ken and I wanted to make something that was, I mean, that we would have fun doing. And that kind of was a throwback to the old Abbott and Costello. We're big fans of Shaun of the Dead. Those type of movies. And that's what we wanted to make, something that, you know we love to watch. That was fun.
Okay.
I think our main goal, you know, at the end of the day, was make people laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, we wanted it to be scary. We wanted it to, but mostly funny.
I think one of the worst reviews that we ever got was, this film is sexist, racist, misogynistic, but go see it.
We did our job. That's what you know.
But go see
we offended somebody, right?
Right. If we always say you're not doing your job if you don't offend somebody.
Exactly. So there you have it. So
the part of that, one of the interviews with you said you guys were also looking for an 80s vibe.
Yeah, a little bit. It has that throwback to the 80s, and that was a little bit more of the director's, what he brought to it, Mitchell Altieri. And, you know, he brought that 80s-ish vibe to it, and it works in the film. So, yeah.
And as far as the type of film it is, but the plot structure has to do with zombies, and I like not zombies. I'm sorry,
zompires.
No, it's clownpires.
Yes,
clownpires.
Yes. Or zompires.
Zompires, or whatever.
It's kind of a running joke.
A little bit of everything, right?
Yes.
But there's a killer clown before Stephen King's It. You know, you guys
were we were actually shot long before it shot.
Yeah, but there was an older It. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody
You can't say it's original.
So it's basically about
sue you. Okay, go ahead.
It's about three bumbling night watchmen that get a delivery one night, and that delivery was supposed to be meant for Johns Hopkins University in their morgue department. And that same night, we get a young recruit that comes in, and this is his first night on the job. And what happens is we discover that delivery was a coffin that should have been elsewhere. It ends up being Blimpo the Clown, who is Baltimore's, his backstory is he's Baltimore's, famous kind of homegrown son, Blimpo the Clown.
Okay.
Kind of a bozo-ish type clown.
Right.
And,
who wound up in Romania doing a tour.
Ends up coming back. Different.
He died there.
Yeah.
Okay.
He died there for some mysterious disease.
Okay.
That's right.
We don't want you to give away too much. We want people to watch this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even if we give away the entire plot, it's worth watching.
Yes, you gotta watch it.
It's really bizarre and funny.
Well, good. And I thought it seems to be, from what I saw in clips, it's just one really leading lady in there?
Yes, Cara Louise.
Cara Louise.
One who makes it to the end. It's just
Yes, strong female
We're not going to tell you
lead.
if she makes it to the end.
All right, we won't
Yeah.
say that. But we don't
Strong
know.
female lead character.
Yeah.
She's kind of the glue that keeps us together
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're all,
Bumbling
doing our own
parts.
things and we're bumbling, and she kind of is the rock that leads
Yeah.
us.
She's the only reason we're alive. Let's
Yes,
be honest.
exactly.
That's
Let's
why
be
you
honest.
brought in the Shaun of the Dead, because I think another thing I read about you said you were a fan of films of Simon Pegg.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Edgar Wright, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, those kinds.
Yeah, those things. Anything. The Cornetto trilogy. I love all those. At the World's End. I mean, it's just. I just like those films.
Yeah.
And they entertain me, and I wanted to do something similar to that.
Yeah, and the film did go on like the festival circuit. Or
Yes.
a few.
Yes, we were in 40 film festivals.
40. Wow, that's pretty
Yes,
impressive.
and
the
actually,
majority of those were-
we have some coming up as well, where we're going to screen at Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
You were
and
never
do
home,
Q&As. We weren't. We traveled a lot. And we had some fun times.
We're going to be at AmazeCon. We're going to be at
AwesomeCon.
AwesomeCon. Oh, yes, we're going to be at AwesomeCon coming
Yes.
up here.
Yes,
which
and
is
then
March
All-Star Con
30th, 31st, and
in
April 1st.
DC.
March 30th and 31st in DC.
Right.
And then we're going to be at AwesomeCon.
All-Star Con
All-Star Con.
in June.
All-Star Awesome
Yeah,
Con.
see.
Okay.
I'm the one.
We've
who's-
done so many
yes.
cons, you know.
I guess so. And it almost feel like I would say, because another guy we've had in here that we have a collaborative venture with, the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention. Part of the thing is they show films.
Yeah,
We ought to say maybe you should have you guys as part of the film part this year.
that'd be
Like
great.
I said, Shirley Jones was
Man.
there last year, and I
I love
interviewed a
Shirley.
bunch of other people.
Yeah,
Shirley had the hots for Ken, actually.
She did.
She did?
Yeah, she did.
Woo!
I have that effect on the older
Well, I
crowd.
read her biography because I thought I
Yes.
was going to be interviewing her autobiography.
Yeah.
But it said she's very much a
You know,
sexy old lady.
Dan's film before The Night Watchman that he produced, Shirley Jones is in it.
Yeah.
Has it been released?
We did a test market with it. We did some changes, and it's going to be re-released shortly.
Okay.
And it's been re-edited. It's going to be released, and Shirley Jones does a great job in it. And
Terrific.
Corbin Burnson does a great job in it, and we have some young actors from the area that do a great job in it. And again, it's all kind of local cast and crew from there on.
Terrific. I know you're, but the Night Watchman, get that back in there. Some actors or actresses people would know. I mean, I remember what jumped out to me was James Remar.
James Remar.
Oh, we were very fortunate to get James.
He did a brilliant job on the show. James Remar was just, you would not guess it's James Remar.
No. It's a character he's never
done.
Yeah, and he did
Has
a
he ever made
brilliant,
up for it, too, or-
brilliant
So people
job.
wouldn't recognize him physically either, or they would.
I mean, you would.
Or his voice.
You gotta
But
kind of look twice.
you got to kind of go, is that James That is James Remar.
Wow,
Oh,
he's
man.
in this little film.
Yeah.
He has a
He did a great job. I mean,
major role in this film.
And he came up with that, he spoke with the director and he created a character that is definitely not like any other characters he's done before.
Terrific.
So-
And along with James, we had Rain Pryor, Richard Pryor's daughter,
Oh, interesting.
in the film.
Who, by the way, is living in Baltimore again.
Oh, cool.
She's here. So if you need to get her
Wonderful.
on the show,
It'd
she
be
would
nice
great.
if
Wonderful,
you guys could make us
beautiful woman.
contact that young lady.
Well, I don't know. I only tweet with her, once or twice a day.
Oh, be good, please. Let her know.
She's
Because we want to
brilliant.
talk to
She's
her
fantastic.
about her and her
Yes.
life, and maybe a little about Daddy. How could we not talk about him?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then also, I guess, because you mentioned somebody buying a ticket in Malaysia, it had worldwide distribution.
Yes, it has worldwide distribution.
we've gotten-
It's done extremely well worldwide.
So you had a
as
good
well.
distributor, you had good publicity,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, we started off with Automatic Entertainment for worldwide distribution, so it was released worldwide almost a year before it was released domestically. Domestically, it was Gravitas that picked it up. Gravitas is huge, and they have a lot of avenues, and so we went with Gravitas. We had a couple of people that wanted to. We were going with three different distributors that had wanted the film, and we ended up with Gravitas. And now it's pretty much on any platform you can think of out there.
Well, good. I mean, we don't want to see people think of this movie because they may not have heard of it to say, oh, this is one of those little independent films that went straight to DVD.
We went to
Here,
Stooges,
it
we went
kind
to,
of,
we went to some of the best film festivals in the world on this.
Yeah,
On
and
invite, by
on
invite.
invite.
Oh, invite, it
We
wasn't
didn't
on
submit.
invite. Please
They-
put us in. Please put us in.
Yeah, no, they contacted us. They invited.
So we went to Fantasia, we went to Stooges over in Europe, which was the 50th anniversary, and Guillermo del Toro, who we all know who he is. He was actually the host of the festival in Stooges. So
Terrific,
we can
'cause I
mean, we can name drop
Yeah,
Guillermo.
I know. But just in today's paper, I was going to bring him up because he was putting a shout out to Baltimore, and he said he didn't like Oscar press conferences on Monday.
Yeah.
And it talked about, again, David Simon he mentioned, and
Love that
also
man.
and Barry Levinson. He said he was very impressed with the Baltimore trilogy.
Yeah.
And then it sort of as an afterthought, he said, "Oh yeah, and also John Waters."
Yeah.
But he
Mr.
said,
Waters.
and he
John
also
is a
was
sweet
nice
man.
enough.
He's a great guy.
But he was nice enough to say, "Oh, I'm sorry we didn't get the Baltimore accents. The
Yeah.
accents weren't true. They're
Yeah.
probably more like Toronto accents before they filmed it." But anyway, okay. So what was box office like, or what has it been like for you guys?
Well, we don't exactly know
That's right.
domestically
We're in the
yet
first
because
quarter.
we're in the first quarter. We haven't received our quarterly reports yet, and it's not like our film because it's a small film is on the ticker, like Shape of Water and Black Panther, and we're not up there, so we don't know. We have to wait for the reports to come in.
Gotcha.
And
it did extremely well overseas.
It did.
The foreign sales did fantastic.
So
more than we could have hoped for, and hopefully enough to push us into the sequel.
Yes.
Which is what we want. Will there be a Night Watchman 2?
Oh,
yeah, it's been written.
Absolutely.
So,
it's been written.
The Night Watchman 2 is.
We set it up that way. Watch the movie and you'll see.
So it was released in 17 then, or
it was? Last year.
So it really isn't that old of a film.
No, just a few months.
Oh, that's terrific. We're catching you guys pretty early on
Yes.
this. And then we can look forward to a sequel if you love the first one.
Yes.
And I mean, there's another sequel I read that you were involved with, you still are. Sinkhole 2?
Sinkhole 2.
not a sequel,
Let's
that's
talk
a-
about that. Let's talk about Sinkhole 2 for 1 second.
If it's in the sinkhole,
There is no Sinkhole 1.
There is none.
And our plan is to do Sinkhole 2.
That's right.
And then go back and do
one.
Sinkhole 1.
Like a prequel.
Yes. But use the same actors, even though we're older, and try to make us look younger.
Okay.
That's the
Think of
comedy.
it as a 1970s disaster comedy.
Oh, wow.
Along the lines of Airplane.
There you go. That's
This is the
And-
brainchild
yes.
of Ed Sanchez from the Blair Witch Project and Jamie Nash, his writing partner, and as Ken has said many times, and I agree, one of the funniest scripts I've ever
Terrific.
read. And we are happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to do it soon. And it all hinges on in the world that we live in, the money.
Of course.
We got to go out and find the investors. There's, Lionsgate's not coming in, Warner Brothers, Paramount, nobody's coming in and going, here's,
We had the
here's 20 million.
Weinsteins lined up, and
And then all of a sudden, it all fell through.
Yeah. So at that point, I went to Matt Lauer, who's a close
and then
person.
that fell through.
That didn't work either.
And then I called Spacey, and totally that didn't work out.
Because we had worked with Spacey on
on House of Cards.
on House of Cards.
Until his House of Cards
It
fell
was
down.
that fell down.
Yeah.
So what
Now,
are
do
you
you
gonna
guys, because we're going to wrap up here, 'cause
Sure.
we're worried about space on the computer, is what other current or future projects are you involved in that you can talk about?
Go ahead. You've got something coming
Well,
up.
right now, as a matter of fact, just got released on Hulu, The Looming Tower, with Jeff Daniels and Peter Sarsgaard and Alec Baldwin.
And Ken Arnold.
I actually have a small role in that, but it's a recurring role, so I'm in more than one episode.
Oh, wow.
And it's a great series. It's an 8-part series. It's about 9/11, based on the book. True story, real people. Based on, and it's fantastic so far, what I've seen. They released the first 3, and then they'll do another 3 in a week, and then they'll do the final 2.
Does that mean you're going wherever it is they filmed to film those?
I did. I
you
shot.
already did yours?
Yeah, I already did my stuff in New York.
Oh,
So
you
the
did it
series
already.
is done. It's shot.
Oh, it's just talking
and
about
boom.
bringing it out.
Yeah, the
Wait,
way
who's
they're
bringing it out?
Yeah, the way they're releasing it is 3 at a time.
Yeah. So it's on Hulu right
Yeah,
now.
and then 332 is how.
And
I,
what is your character?
I play General Stetson. I'm an Air Force general who's in the meetings with these guys as they're discussing possible terrorist attacks in the country.
Oh, cool.
So, and how we're going to eliminate. And I don't want to give away too much.
Don't give away too much.
No, please. We want people to.
But I'm in the talks about terrorist activity.
Any other projects current?
So we both just signed letters of agreement, letters of intent to be on a show for Discovery called Behind the Veil.
Yep, it's a paranormal ghost hunting show.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is going to be fun.
I bring that up because we had a guy in here who's local, he's Maryland, and I interviewed him. We're going to have him back again and maybe give him his show here. He does run a ghost hunting group here in Maryland, and has for more than a decade, and they do it very scientifically. I mean, they didn't want to be with Jason Hawes and all those other guys. They're on their own, and if he's had physicists make equipment for them and everything, and it's got actual recorded film, stills, sounds. It's all been verified, including when he was here, and Dan didn't leave it in the edit, was he talked about one point where he was pushed by a ghost was laughing, and then when you picked it up later on the audio, the ghost had like farted first and then laughed. And,
that sounds like
that was you, Ken.
something we did.
and then another one, it was a thing where his wife, they were doing a house, and his wife said, "Here, listen to this," and it sounded like two ghosts, right? Because nobody in the room having sex. And I said, "You're the first ones to find ghosts."
Or their neighbors watching porn. I don't know which it was, but
or the walls are thin.
Exactly.
But to segue off of that, Ken has worked with again Jamie Nash and Ed Sanchez on a series called Paranormal, which was a web series.
Abnormal.
I'm sorry, Abnormal. Yeah. So it's a comedic kind of take on these ghost hunter series, and I was invited to pop along this year.
We're actually rebooting that series coming up.
Good.
And we're going to be working with Ed Sanchez and Jamie Nash, and we're going to be coming out with more of our web series where we go on ghost hunts. We do Bigfoot hunts. We do Loch Ness Monster. We do UFOs. No, this is actually just a web series.
This is a web series. This is a web series.
Yeah. And then the one final thing is I'm slated to start work next month on a Western out in West Virginia, and that's why I have
because sometimes I saw the times with pictures we had facial hair. I don't know if they were for roles too or not.
Yeah, but this one absolutely, I'm growing this mustache because I'm playing a sheriff, a real character, Bill Tillman.
And the Outlaws is the name
is the name of the film, but I play Bill Tillman, who was actually a real person who worked with Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp in the Old West.
Yeah.
And I'll be playing him in this upcoming indie western.
I know who he is.
Right.
I read a book recently called Dodge City, which is all about that. Brings up Bill Tillman, and you know how a lot of people don't know that Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson worked together in Dodge.
Yes.
And Bill Tillman was around many years, even beyond that.
Yep.
And so he knew these guys, and he was still like the sheriff of Dodge. I don't know when, like 1920s maybe.
He did live into. I think he died at the age of 70. He was actually shot.
Oh, interesting.
Still as a lawman.
There you go. I mean,
he was shot in action.
Yeah, he was still.
So
that's going to be shot out in West Virginia, correct?
In West Virginia.
In Holster. Yeah.
Well, some of it here in Finksburg.
Okay.
The first week is here. And then we move out there. They built a town, actually, in West Virginia for us to shoot.
And this is going to be a feature film? Or?
Feature film.
Terrific.
Yeah. A lot of really cool people are going to be in it.
And you're going to be the star?
I'm the star.
Wow.
I'm Bill Tillman. So
terrific.
Which is great. Darby Hinton, which is right. He's going to be in it. They have George Mirasan. You remember the basketball player, the 7'7"?
Oh wow!
Yes, he's going to be in it. They're going to have we're trying to still get Rosie Greer, the old football player, but he's a little older now.
Too,
yes,
though.
He's a little older right now, and we're trying to figure out how to transport him out to be in the film because he's a big guy.
He is
still a big guy.
Yeah, still a big guy.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out how to work it out so we can fly him out here and
have they casted
make it work.
Female leads yet? Or
Kathy Searle that plays my wife.
Okay, and who is she?
And she's out of New York. She's fantastic.
She's
you've seen her in more commercials than you realize.
That's probably what it is. I'll say, hey, I know that face.
Yes, exactly. As soon as you see her, you'll be like, I've seen her in so many commercials, and so she's a working actor out of New York who's absolutely fabulous.
Well, anybody else that we would know at this point?
Anybody else you would know?
Somebody had mentioned to me, wasn't Eric Roberts?
No, it wasn't Eric Roberts. Robert Carradine.
Robert Carradine. My gosh, talking about
so Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah. So he's going to be in it.
This sounds like a major motion picture that you're going to be starring in.
It's an independent film.
It's an independent film, but the casting, it has potential.
Yes.
You don't get that many westerns, and when you do, it's like they're good because they're not like in the 50s where there was one every Saturday afternoon.
Right.
Like you just did the one with Christian Bale with the with the Indian hunting and all that. So I mean, you don't see them too often.
Yeah.
And this is great, and especially for me, I'm a fan of history because I told you I read that book.
Sure.
I'm familiar with Bill Tillman, and I think a lot of people like just the Western genre mixed in with history and some of these names. I mean, Carradine's on Madam Secretary.
I got to be honest with you. I think every actor alive wants to play in a Western.
Yeah, I think so. That's what as soon as they offered it to me, I was like, yeah. Okay. They were like, you're not worried about how much you're getting paid? Do I get to ride a horse? They were like, yep. I said, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
Probably because you also do your own stunts too. It helps.
Yeah, I do. And I'll be working with the same stunt coordinator we used for our film, The Night Watchman.
Okay.
So he'll be the stunt
coordinator. So you already know how to handle 6-shooters then?
Yep, all of it. So
shout out to Jeff Wilhelm.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, so we've got to have you back to talk about that film when it's ready.
Absolutely.
Come out to. In fact, let's see both of you guys some more. Contact information for The Night Watchman and maybe for you two guys as well.
Well, go ahead.
You can go to www.tnwmovie.com, or you could go to @TNWmovie on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So we're on all the main social media platforms.
Okay.
And,
or you can call me at 1-900-HOT-HOT.
Yeah, baby. Okay, Dan. Again, it's all on our website.
Thank you for both of you for being here. This has
thank
been
you.
a delightful Sunday
Pleasure.
afternoon with you guys. And this has been the second episode in our series, of TV Free Baltimore movie reviews. So until next time, watch Night Watchman and anything else that these guys do, because it'll be well worth your time. So until next time, see you around.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Dawn Wells, and guess what? You are watching TV Free Baltimore.
Hello there, I'm Chris Schenkel. In just a few seconds, we're going to present the Pro Football Classic of 1959. But first, let's quickly review the past season. The Giants got off to a poor start, but soon righted themselves and rolled to the Eastern title with comparative ease. The mighty Colt team looked somewhat confused when after 7 games, their record was a mere 4-1, 3 lost. But then they moved. They stormed on to record their second straight conference title. And this set the stage for a repeat of last year's thrilling classic. You know, the Brewers of Ballantyne are mighty proud that the Commissioner's Office of the National Football League has granted them the exclusive film rights to this game, because this enables Ballantyne to continue its fine record of providing the very best in sports entertainment all year round. But right now, let's get on to the film and relive the great struggle between the New York Giants and the Baltimore Colts. The Baltimore fans, among the most partisan anywhere, have snapped up every ticket offered, and Baltimore's Memorial Stadium begins to fill up long before game time. The New York Giants squad arrives by bus from its downtown Baltimore hotel. The Giants are calm and confident as they make their way to the dressing room. Charlie Connerly leads the parade. Sam Huff smiles at the crowd. Dick Modulewski is followed by George Shaw and Bob Schnelker. Backfield star Frank Gifford and punter Don Chandler bring up the rear. This is the big one, the rematch of the game that was called the greatest ever. The experts feel that the Giants are improved over last year and should be accorded the edge. But the fans who saw Baltimore's 2 games on the coast against the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams think the Colts are probably the finest offensive machine in the history of football. As the Giants come out to warm up, experts and just plain fans are packed into Memorial Stadium, 57,557 strong, to learn just who is right. Here come the Baltimore Colts. They are grimly determined to repeat last year's playoff victory for their second straight championship. 50-degree weather and sunshine is an unexpected bonus for this time of year. Sam Huff, New York's great linebacker, has won more publicity for the pro game's defensive maneuvers than any other single player. Charlie Connerly, 38-year-old Giant quarterback, has starred for 12 seasons in the National League. Frank Gifford is New York's jack of all trades. Frank is outstanding as a runner, passer, or pass receiver. Pat Summerall, the Giants' peerless place kicker, has provided the margin of victory in several games. Colt coach Weeb Eubank in the light overcoat meets with Giant coach Jim Lee Howell and the officials as game time nears. Raymond Berry topped the league's pass receivers this year with a sensational 66 receptions for 14 touchdowns. He's one Colt the Giants will have to stop. Another is Lenny Moore. Lenny is Baltimore's top breakaway threat, either as a pass receiver or as an outside runner. Big Jim Muchler plays tight end for Baltimore. His circus catches match those of Barry. And the man who does the throwing for the Colts is Johnny Unitas. Johnny set a new record for touchdown tosses in 1959 while leading the league's passers. The starting Giants are tense and expectant as they are introduced to the crowd just prior to the kickoff. They are confident they can turn the tables on Baltimore this year. The keyed-up Colts line up as their names are called, led by Big Jim Parker. Colt captain Gino Marchetti meets with Andy Robustelli, number 81, and Kyle Rote as referee Ronald Gibbs announces the result of the toss. The Giants have won and elect to receive, with the Colts defending the goal to our left. The two squads huddle with their coaches, and we're ready for the kickoff of the 1959 World Professional Football Championship playoff. Steve Myra comes up on the ball and booms it into the Giant end zone. Phil King is waiting. He makes the grab and hustles right out of there. But the Colts cut him down at the 20, and the Giants are ready to move from scrimmage. It's Connerly, Gifford, Webster, and Triplett in the backfield. Connerly is going to pass. It's complete to Kyle Rote at the near sideline for a 22-yard gain. First down, Giants. That was a real Giant step, and here's another, as Frank Gifford takes the handoff and circles right end. A block by Jack Stroud gives Gifford running room, and he picks up another 22 yards. But the Baltimore defense takes the initiative away from the New York team. Gino Marchetti chases Connerly all the way back to midfield, and Big Daddy Lipscomb slams him down for a 17-yard loss. After racking up 2 first downs on the first 2 plays from scrimmage, the Giants can't get number 3, and Don Chandler punts. It's out of the end zone for a touchback. Now it's Baltimore's turn to attack. Unitas, Sommer, Amici, and Moore are the backs. Unitas whips a bullet over the middle to Jim Muchler for a 6-yard gain. Our cameras move in close as Johnny Unitas dances back again. He throws out to the left, and Alan Amici takes it over his shoulder to gallop 13 yards for the Colts' first down. Unitas tries to slow up the Giant rush by calling for the fullback draw play, but Jim Katcavage nails Amici after 3 yards. Keep your eye on number 24, Lenny Moore, who is flanked to the right here. Unitas is looking for Raymond Berry out to the left, but suddenly he spots Moore cutting for the center of the field. Johnny's pass is perfectly placed, and Lenny is already behind Lyndon Crow. Nobody is going to catch Moore now, and he lopes to a 60-yard touchdown. The Colts take a quick 7-0 lead over New York. We switch to our ground camera as Steve Myra booms the kickoff downfield. Phil King takes it in the end zone and heads right this way. He gets all the way out to the Giant 33. But Baltimore's stubborn steeds stall New York right there, and Don Chandler gets off another of his soaring punts. Johnny Sample is under it, and he explodes up the sideline. Ray Waiteka finally tackles him at the Giant 15, but Johnny was out of bounds back at his own 42, and the Colts will move from there. Johnny Unitas gets a first-hand look at the Giant defense as Jim Katkavich bursts through to chase him down for a 14-yard loss. With 4th down and 22 yards to go, the Colts get off their first punt of the game. Dave Scherer sends a skyscraper to Jim Patton, who calls for a fair catch on his own 40 with a ring of Colts around him. On 2nd down, the slow-motion camera is rolling as Alec Webster takes Connerly's handoff and bulldozes to a first down on the Baltimore side of the midfield stripe. Connerly goes to the long count on this play before sending Frank Gifford sweeping wide to the right for a 5-yard gain. The Colts are expecting a pass, but Connerly crosses him up as he works the draw with Mel Triplett. Triplett chugs up the middle and travels all the way to the 16 before the Colts can stop him. This play proves disastrous for the Giants. Connerly spots Kyle Rote loose in the end zone, but Charlie's pass is too long, and Rote collides with Johnny Sample in midair as he leaps for the ball. As Giant fan Faye Emerson slumps in dismay, Kyle is helped from the field, too groggy to return until late in the game. With one of his top receivers out of action, Connerly returns to the ground. He sends Triplett crashing to the Colt 10. We slow the action again, with Connerly getting set to pass behind good protection. He fires one down and out to his lanky end, Bob Schnelker, and Bob makes a nice catch. It's 1st and goal to go from the Colt 6. The New Yorkers are intent on tying it up. Alec Webster crosses into the left side for 3 yards. On 2nd down, Connerly passes out to Gifford, but Bill Pellington fights off a block and turns Gifford to the inside. Johnny Sample finally drops Gifford for a 6-yard loss. Connerly again tries to go overhead, but his receivers are covered, and Lipscomb pins him down for a 7-yard loss. It's 4th and 16. The Colt defense won't yield a touchdown, but the Giants get 3 points as Pat Summerall kicks a 23-yard field goal. The score reads Baltimore 7, New York 3. The Colts move from the kickoff. Johnny Unitas pinpoints Jim Muchler for a quick 5 yards. On the final play of the first quarter, Unitas tries the same maneuver to the left and finds Berry for 4 yards and a first down at the Baltimore 40. After suffering a loss at the hands of the Giant defense, Unitas throws in the second period. Lenny Moore has his man beaten at the sideline and dodges through the New York secondary for a 31-yard gain. Colt partisans call for more of the same as their team lines up at the Giant 35. Mike Sommer drives hard but gets only 3 yards. Billy Pricer's in at fullback for the Colts. He takes Unitas' swing pass, but Harlan Smari wraps him up immediately, and the Colts are back to the 35. Steve Myra is set to see if he can get 3 more points for Baltimore. It's no good, and this grim defensive battle is still drum tight at 7-3. The Giants attack with Connerly shooting a little pass to Frank Gifford. Gifford gets 11 yards, but the officials detect an ineligible receiver downfield, and the New Yorkers are back to their 10. Connolly fades to the 3 and fires to Bob Schnelker, who is rolled up immediately. The play gains 12 yards. It's 3rd and 8, and the Giants need a big play. Connolly has one in mind, but it doesn't survive the Colt rush led by number 89, Gino Marchetti. Connolly eats the ball for an 11-yard loss, and New York must punt. The veteran Marchetti is playing the greatest game of his career. Don Chandler puts his foot to the ball and sails a 54-yard beauty deep into Baltimore territory. Johnny Sample makes the catch and is off like a shot, but Roosevelt Brown brings him down on his own 39. Amici is back in the game for Baltimore. He takes the ball in the draw play and works his way through the middle for 6 yards. With a yard to go for a first down, the tremendous Colt charge enables Unitas to make it with a yard to spare as Baltimore reaches midfield. The slow-motion camera highlights the split-second precision of the Colts' famous slant pass, with Raymond Berry breaking in to meet the ball and take off on a 13-yard gain. Unitas is mixing his attack well. He takes 2 steps back and pops a pass to Mutchler as Baltimore picks up a first down at the Giant 24. But Giant resistance stiffens. Unitas is under pressure as he throws down and out. The pass is too long, and Berry catches it out of bounds. It's 4th and 8 from the 22, and Baltimore won't settle for a field goal. The Giants refuse to cooperate as they break up Unitas' pass protection and smother him for a 3-yard loss to take possession of the football. New York tries to move on the ground. Phil King drives into the middle for 4 hard yards. The Baltimore defense turns stingy, and Don Chandler punts on 4th down. It's another good one, and Johnny Sample calls for a fair catch on his own 22. It's 3rd and 16 from the 16, but Unitas refuses to let go of the ball until he spots his man. It's Raymond Berry, and the play nets 28 yards for a clutch first down. The Giant defense stages an awesome uprising to kill the Colt initiative. Roosevelt Greer rides Unitas to earth for a 10-yard loss as he fails to get rid of the ball for the 2nd time in a row. Johnny keeps right on calling his own number. He's rushed again, but fires on target to Jim Mutchler for 15 yards. That's not enough, and the Giants get the ball on a punt. Connolly goes for the long play with a long pitch upfield. Bob Schnelker outleaps Carl Tassif to make a beautiful catch and lope to the Colt 34. It's a 48-yard gain. The seconds are running out in the first half. Connolly sends a swing pass to Phil King, and Phil makes it to the Baltimore 31. With 11 seconds left, Pat Summerall boots from the 37. Referee Ron Gibbs signals a field goal, but the Colts protest. Gibbs checks with Charlie Sweeney, the back judge, who was standing in the end zone, and Sweeney confirms his decision. Gino Marchetti's oratory can't change anything, and at halftime only 1 point separates the two teams as the Colts lead 7-6. The experts anticipated a clash between two great defenses in this game, and that's what the first half has been. The Colts got their score on one big play, and the Giants were never able to cross the goal line at all, relying on the kicking of Pat Summerall for their 6 points. Let's watch the byplay as two brave but foolhardy Giant rooters taunt the Colt partisans. How's that for an interception? While the Colts rest and plot second-half strategy, the Phillies take the spotlight as the talented Baltimore cheerleaders and majorettes entertain the crowd, with the Colt band providing the music. Now the two teams are ready for action again. The Colts are determined to lengthen their one-point lead, but the Giants are just as determined to get out in front. Big Daddy Lipscomb takes his time, but he'll be in there when the action starts. Don Chandler kicks off for New York. It's a line drive kick with the ball bounding to Alex Hawkins. Hawkins fumbles, but Sherman Plunkett recovers for Baltimore on their 38. The give is to Amici, and the horse hammers into the right side for 5 yards. The Colts get within 1 yard of a first down, but elect to punt on 4th down. Dave Scher sends a towering shot to Joe Morrison at the New York 8. Joe runs into a herd of Colts at the 13, and that's the end of his return. We move in close as Connerly hustles back and flips to Phil King. King is off and running for a first down on the Giant 25. Connerly tries the other side of the Colt defense as he calls for a sweep by Alec Webster. Webster wheels for 9 yards. Connerly hands to Gifford this time. The talented halfback fakes an end run, then passes across the field to Bob Schnelker, and the Giants move to the Baltimore 48. Schnelker is proving to be New York's top receiver today. He makes a great diving catch and rolls to the Colt 26 for a 20-yard gain to keep the Giant drive alive. It's 3rd and 10 from the 15 as the Giants close in, and the slow-motion camera rolls. Connerly's pass is aimed for Frank Gifford, and Gifford thinks he has it, until Johnny Sample streaks in to make a sensational save. With 4th and 10, the stage is set for Pat Summerall. Pat provides a perfect placement, and the Giants lead. They still haven't crossed the Colt goal line, but they're out in front, 9-7. After forcing the Colts to punt, the New Yorkers are at it again. Connerly races back and pegs to Frank Gifford on a nice pattern that nets 19 yards. Colt coach Weeb Eubank is sweating on the sidelines as Connerly comes up to a 3rd and 11 situation. Connerly fires to Bob Schnelker, and the Giants are mighty close to that first down. Referee Gibbs calls for the chain gang and finds that New York has about a foot to go. This is the key play in the game. Webster goes straight ahead and drives for all he's worth, but the Colts put up a solid wall. Here comes the chain gang again. Baltimore has held. As the 3rd quarter runs out, the Colts take charge. Unitas flips a short pass to fast-moving Billy Pricer, who picks up 9 yards. The Colts open the final period by shifting into high gear. Unitas rifles to Berry, and the play earns a first down at the 47. Here's that quick Colt pass again. Lenny Moore is the receiver, and he makes a fast getaway. Lenny is out in the open, but Dick Lynch pulls him down from behind after a 36-yard gain. The Colts are close to the goal line. Billy Pricer powers to the New York 9. Unitas doesn't even try to dent New York's forward wall. He bypasses it with a sideline pass to Jim Mutchler for a 5-yard gain. On the next play, Unitas fools the Giants completely. He rolls out and dodges into the end zone, standing up to get the lead back for Baltimore. Let's watch those two plays again from our sideline vantage point. Lyndon Crow hauls down Mutchler right in front of us. Now Johnny Unitas really digs to make it into the end zone in the climax of a brilliant march that caps the Colt comeback. Baltimore has taken command of the situation with a 14-9 lead. The Giants are forced into a dangerous game as they go for the long gain in an attempt to get back the lead. Connolly throws upfield from his own goal line, but Andy Nelson intercepts for the Colts. New York is in a precarious position now as Andy returns to the 14, bowling over cameraman Herman Ernst in the process. Alan Amici tries the middle of the Giant line and has a tough time picking up 2 yards. But Johnny Unitas has the key that unlocks the touchdown door. As Barry draws 2 defenders into the end zone with him, Jerry Richardson trails. Unitas hits him and Richardson scampers across for another Colt tally. The score mounts to Colts 21, Giants 9. Again, Charlie Connerly tries to pass New York out of its own territory. He spots Frank Gifford at the sideline, but Frank can't hold on to the ball. Connerly is throwing on every play. His top receiver today has been Bob Schnelker, and Bob comes through again with a 12-yard reception for a first down. Baltimore is really putting the pressure on the veteran Charlie Connerly. The Colt forwards snow him under for a 4-yard loss. It's 3rd and 12, and Connerly has to go for the big play again. It turns out to be a big play for the Colts as Johnny Sample intercepts and sprints down the sideline to make his way across for a Baltimore touchdown. It's Colts 28, Giants 9, and Big Daddy Lipscomb congratulates Sample as they leave the field. Once more, the Giants try to move out of danger. Connerly feeds a delayed handoff to Frank Gifford, and Frank heads around right end behind good blocking to pick up 23 yards. The New Yorkers try a little trickery as Connerly races back, then laterals to Frank Gifford. Gifford aims for Schnelker. But Johnny Sample makes his second sensational interception. Sample returns all the way to the New York 26. Unitas goes to work right away. He finds Barry available on a slant pattern for a fast 6 yards. The Giant defense is still stubborn, but Steve Myra solves it with a 25-yard field goal. The Colts have scored 24 points in this final period to take a 31-9 lead. Myra kicks off for Baltimore with about 2 minutes left to play. The kick is short, and Mel Triplett takes it. Mel gets to the Giant 30. The New Yorkers are still looking for their first touchdown. Phil King tries to move in the draw play, but Don Joyce snags his ankle to hold him to a 3-yard gain. Kyle Rote returns to the game and makes his presence felt immediately. Rote wraps up a Connerly pass for a first down to the Giant 30. Connerly comes back and looks for Big Bob Schnelker. Bob is wide open as the Colts concentrate on the long receivers. It's another 19-yard gain. The Giants are racing the clock now. Connerly spots Schnelker heading for the corner of the end zone and hits him for a Giant touchdown. The final score reads Baltimore Colts 31, New York Giants 16. After 3/4 of tense battle on nearly even terms, the defending world champions broke the game wide open as their defensive unit turned the tide with key interceptions, and the great Baltimore offense converted every opportunity into points. The delirious Colt fans tackle the impossible task of dismantling steel goalposts set in concrete and succeed as their heroes leave the field still world champions of professional football. Man, that was some fourth quarter. For the Colts, that is. You've really got to hand it to them. They're one of the finest football teams ever assembled. And it was certainly no disgrace for the Giants to lose this one. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. I know that Valentine was happy to provide this exclusive film for you. You know, when you think of sports, you think of Valentine. But that's only natural, because Valentine makes it a point to offer fans the very best possible sports coverage it can, be it football, baseball, basketball, or hockey. Yep, Valentine takes pride in their sports program, and they also take pride in their fine products. Valentine Beer and Valentine Ale. Valentine Beer, the crisp refresher. Valentine Ale, the ale with brewer's gold. Why not try them?
Hello, I'm Steve Darnall, the publisher of Nostalgia Digest, and you're watching TV Free Baltimore. Well done.
The Despacito is on my shore, Maryland, my Maryland. His torch is at thy temple door, Maryland, my Maryland. Avenge the patriotic roar that fleck the streets of Baltimore, and be the battle queen of yore, Maryland, my Maryland. Thou wilt not cower in the dust, Maryland, my Maryland. Thy beaming sword shall never rust, Maryland, my Maryland. Remember Carroll's sacred trust, remember Howard's warlike thrust, and always onward with the just, Maryland, my Maryland.
This concludes another day of live stream broadcasting from TV Free Baltimore.